What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 280. I am your host, Ainsley Bowden, and we have an excellent show for you today because it was a very busy week in games. We have the Xbox Developer Direct. We have the future of Elder Scrolls Online. We have Diablo IV Season 3, Season of the Construct. We've got Palworld taking over the literal world. And we've got to finish up answering the questions that you asked us over the holidays. So it's going to be a busy one here today. I'm looking forward to it. The guys are all here we've got two looking dapper and two looking casual, which sounds about right. We're usually split down the middle. But here we are with Mr. Rodriguez rocking the gaming dyno today. How we doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm cold, man. It's still freaking cold.
Still cold here. Still cold, no doubt.
Yeah, but it's supposed to warm up. Yeah, go figure. Yeah, supposed to get some ice tonight.
It's supposed to be like 50 next week, and I was like, that's gonna feel like summer compared to what it has been here.
Yeah, and all the weather people are like, could be a nuisance because everything's gonna melt and get muddy. I'm like, you guys look for stuff. Like, this is what you do. Like that. Who cares? Who's driving in the mud? I mean, I know it's Kansas, but we're not civilized here. So
there's some kind of media analysis there about making things sound bad all the time.
They do it. There is one channel here that I watch for weather, and the rest of them, they sensationalize it. They use the brightest reds and blues and stuff that they can use just to get everybody all fired up. I hate meteorologists. Man, yeah, no offense to any meteorologists in the chat, but I don't like
looking dapper, coming right off of his I don't even have a joke to enter here, but Mr. Hoglaw is here and ready for the Lions here after the show. How you feeling?
Yeah, you got to dress up for the Lions' second playoff game in a year. I don't know what to tell you about that, but yeah, it's Palworld, and we're all just living in it, right? So we got to talk about that. It's a fun week.
Yes, no doubt. And of course, the founder of the Bang Bang Tie Gang is Mr. Tie Guy Travis, who accidentally reviewed what could be the biggest game of the year.
That's right, baby. That's what I do. I take games that maybe look like they're going to be bad because why not? And then suddenly they're pretty darn good. So
once in a while.
Once in a while.
Blame this whole concurrent users and playthroughs of Palworld on Travis.
Look, I was talking about this game before anybody knew it was a real game. So am I trendsetter? Probably not, but it's fun. It's fun
well, no, if everybody that's a fan of Palworld starts wearing ties.
It's true.
That's it.
And then we can just call Travis an influencer, which he'll love so much.
A YouTuber influencer.
Fun week.
Travis, by the way, I saw you were just gifted a membership over at SG. Welcome.
Nice. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
I get gifted a membership every couple months because I don't even know what a membership is. And I'm assuming that
you're in the chat. It means you can use your ties in the chat. Even better.
That's great. Let me take advantage of that right now. Ties.
But anyway, today we are we're gonna be talking about Palworld early access. The game has gone nuts, and Travis did do a kind of an early review of what's out there today. And like I said, we're going to be covering kind of all the games and presentations that happened this week. It was kind of funny as I was going through this because I was creating the thing and trying to think of the title for the episode. And I was like, all right, there's Xbox Developer Direct, but then we also had ESO. We also had Diablo. And I'm like, oh, yeah, all of those are Xbox now, too, which is kind of a weird place to be. So, but it is the fact. So why don't we go ahead and jump into, let's knock out these super chats real quick. Because Googleman reclaimed his title, of course, as the first super chat of the week, as he tends to do.
All right, Googleman here with the €5. The new Prince of Persia game looks absolutely brilliant.
It is.
But ingrained video game economy habits make it hard to justify the current price tag. PBJ.
PB&J is always a good one.
People that's their own fault.
That is their own fault, yeah. And I would... I love this game, as I talked about during the review a week or two ago. I think it's definitely worth the money, but it's also hard not to argue that a week or two from now, it'll probably be half price. It's just the Ubisoft model. So yeah, if you want to wait, you might as well wait at this point.
Is it a full price game?
It was $10 less.
Price.
Yeah.
It was 50 or 60. $20 less.
No,
yes,
it's
50
20,
or 60.
40 or 50, right?
I thought it was 50 or 60.
Low end. I bought it at the very base price. I waited. I got it for 50.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
it was 60 for the deluxe, but the deluxe gave you early access. So obviously you've already missed that, right? So might as well just wait.
Don't tell.
Yeah, they need like a fill-in reward after the games actually come out. Early access or
yeah, no kidding. Yeah. But thank you as always, Googleman. Appreciate you. Tao with the member comment.
Whoa,
Tao.
Going. Hello, Bitcasters. Let's get the food debates going again. Best soups for those in cold weather. Not Travis. LOL. I say sancocho.
I don't even know what that is.
It's like stew. It's like a Latin stew.
Okay.
I would say some kind of fully loaded baked potato soup.
Wow.
Wow.
That's how they do it out there, huh? Michigan?
You know,
baked potato soup.
A little bacon, a little chives, a little cheese on a potato soup. That'll warm you up.
Oh, for some reason I was imagining it with like the potato was like a bread bowl and you had a soup inside of it.
I'll bring Travis along with me on this one, and I'll say a nice rich clam chowder.
That's the correct answer, Ains. Great answer.
Oh, it's the worst.
Oh yes.
Clam chowder and a bread bowl, man.
Clam chowder is goated. Goated.
My favorite one right now is Zuppa Toscana or whatever it is. They have it at but I make my own here. It's so good. It's so
is
good.
It as good as Olive Garden's?
It's way better. It's so much better.
I hope so.
It's so much better.
You say you make your own?
Yeah. I cook, Travis, a lot.
Yeah, Dan can make some food, man, for real. Yeah.
Dan makes his own gravy.
Yeah.
Damn right.
Tal, thank you, man. Good to see you. Midnight Dreary gifting one SG membership. Always generous. Thank you, Midnight Dreary. Travis by accident, but it all counts.
I don't know if I can turn that off so that I don't get. I don't know. That seems wrong.
No, it's yours now.
It's yours. It all helps the channel the same way. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And Vintage Willow, as always, I say every week I run out of words for the generosity, but thank you so much, Vintage. 10 season game memberships, yes, helps the channel roll. So thank you. And then Game Fire with a member comment.
Yeah, Palworld is taking over the world, and we are all pals here.
That's correct.
Better watch out for that. Pals can get.
I got to tell you, the first time I hit a human being with a pal sphere was an interesting moment.
That's right. If you didn't know, you can capture humans in Palworld, and when you do, the game gives you a prompt to say, "Hey, you can do this, but it is considered inhumane." And then humans are bound to your will, just like normal pals. They will fight for you in battle. They will help you around the base. You could, if you wanted, do an all-pal playthrough or all-human playthrough of Palworld, rather. If you wanted, if you, for some reason, were trying to make a YouTube video about oops, all humans playthrough, you for sure could.
Man, they are tiptoeing the line of decency here, I feel like.
No, they're trying to cross it on purpose. It's satirical.
That's a bit of the bit.
It's the bit. Yeah, the bit is like, what if Pokemon was kind of dark and a survival game? They give you an item called a cleaver that you can craft, which allows you to butcher and eat your own pals to survive. So that's the game. It's a little crazy.
Yeah, Palworld is an interesting melange of elements.
It's kind of hilarious.
Word of the day. And finally, of course, we got a shout out against the tide for the awesome picks. And this week we're going superhero this week, boys. Looking pretty sharp. I gotta say, this might be the best. This might be the best the four of us have looked collectively in one of these picks.
I look like me being a superhero was my make-a-wish, and this is going to be the last time I appear. My first and last issue, if you know what I mean. Looking a little sickly over here.
You got
also, you're a ginger again.
Also, I'm a ginger again, which is fine because, like,
I just like that they made your glasses into the costume,
the mystery mask. Yeah. Kind of just made the lenses a little wider, and all of a sudden, nobody knows who I am. It's pretty great. Well, yeah,
look at Hoag's chiseled jaw.
Dude, he always gets that jaw, dude.
Nice.
What's up with that, man?
He's getting buff over there.
It's crazy.
I'm sorry, I'm traditionally handsome, gentlemen.
I like how aggressively white Dan's goatee is.
Yeah, it's very. I mean, it's on the way. It's going to be.
Dan looks
soon.
like he's about to turn off his body cam in this photo. It's like he's. And Ains, you look like the reason they made people start wearing body cams in the first place. So together you are.
Yeah.
My secret is, Travis, it's always off. So.
It's always off.
It's never on.
Oh, great.
Oh, Christ. Ty, thank you as always. Appreciate that. Always gives us a good laugh. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and get into what we're currently playing. And I'm just going to kick it to you right away, Travis, for your Palworld early access review, because this game quite literally has taken over the conversation at the moment. We had it on the thumbnail for Bitcast last week. And I think, Travis, you were like, why do you have Palworld on the thumbnail? And I was like, well, it's coming out. Seems like it could be popular. And here we go.
Yeah,
4 million copies.
I was thinking of.
Sorry,
I spoke over you, Ains. I'm sorry. You were saying
no.
stats for Palworld. That was one of the things I was thinking about while all these articles were coming out about how massively successful it was the conversation we had last week about maybe it should have been Suicide Squad on the thumbnail instead of Palworld. I was like, oh, Ains won that one.
That's right.
It was just, I thought it was a funny looking picture, and we kind of joked that this could be something big just because it's Pokemon with guns, right? In theory, anyway. So game's out in not early access, preview, game preview, I guess you could call it.
Call it game
is early
preview on the
access.
Xbox side.
Early access,
on Xbox
okay.
side, it's game preview, but it is early access. It's just that early access now has two meanings, unfortunately. So I couldn't really talk about this last week because I was under embargo and I wasn't really allowed to talk about what I was playing at the time. But I was saying privately in the IGN chat, like, yo, this game is like actually good. I'm super surprised that it's good and we should get people on it. So like last week when I told the team that, all of a sudden they were scrambling to get like the guides team on it and stuff like that. They're like, all right, people are going to have questions.
Right,
about,
everyone on it now.
And yeah, everyone's on it. And so I kind of had a little bit of a head start to knowing that this game was actually going to be good, but I didn't think it would be popular. Sometimes good games still don't sell super well. And I figured, it's a Pokemon clone. I don't know if those have sold super well in the past. I don't know if Temtem was like blowing up the sales charts or anything when that came out. But it is a survival game, and survival games tend to do really well, whether it's Valheim or whatnot. So they stream well. They're fun, and this one has that comedy bit to it and a sense of there's a lot to do in this game. But yeah, let me just talk about the review in progress, because it is not a final review for one reason, which is that the game is super long and I'm still not done with it. I am almost done with it. So for those who don't know, IGN requires its reviewers to finish all the content in a game. In this case, I can't actually finish the game because the whole game isn't there yet, which we'll get to later. But there is quite a lot to this game. There are enormous biomes in the game, a map that takes hours to get to the end of. Like it's just a ton of exploration, and every time you reach a new area, whether it's the volcanic mountains to the west or the snowy mountains to the east, or the giant tree in the back that makes me think of Elden Ring, it's
funny, it makes me think of Lion King.
Oh, really? Okay, it's a little too big for Lion King, I think. But yeah, it's pretty there's a lot to do, and each of the areas has pals of different levels that will absolutely destroy you if you haven't properly leveled. So, I got into the game on PC. I played through maybe half of it, beat a couple of the bosses, and then when it came out on Xbox, I had access to multiplayer, and I need to record multiplayer and also do that. So on the Xbox playthrough, I'm now level 36, I think, and working my way toward the end of the game here. So it is just a good survival game. Like if you ever played a good survival game, it is a survival game first. I would say it has more in common with a Rust or a Grounded than it actually does to Pokemon. You're not going to idyllic towns and fighting trainers or gym leaders for badges or anything like that. You're straight up, Breath of the Wilding your way through different levels, hang gliding around, exploring, looking for pals to capture and train. And then, you're spending a lot of time at your bases, optimizing and upgrading and that sort of thing. And so I'm at the point in the game now where my base looks a little bit more like a sweatshop or a factory, and I've got pals standing in front of assembly lines, crafting guns and ammo and stuff for me. And so the game gets goes from you kind of living outside of essentially a tent and a campfire and doing sort of like a very brutish survival game to all of a sudden like Industrial Revolution, where you're using assault weapons and stuff, and it becomes more of a proper shooter. So it's pretty interesting. I think Game Pass has certainly helped it a lot. I think the fact that it's got a little bit of a what I called in my review a almost copyright infringement Pokemon inspiration.
We'll talk about that.
Which I, by the way, I still don't really understand how they're getting away with some of this, which I think IGN wrote an article about this week that I wasn't involved in it, but it's been really cool, and I'm glad. This is why I love reviewing games, because sometimes you just find one that I was kind of expecting this game to be not great just based on what I saw of it and the communication from their PR team before the game came out, which was frankly like a little fraught. Like I was like, all right, I don't know if these guys know what they're doing or how to launch this game, but that's the beautiful thing, is sometimes you get these little hidden gems, and it's really great to see this one blow up, because I do think they deserve it. I think the game is way stronger than I was expecting, and I'm having a great deal of fun with it. So my review and progress score is an 8 out of 10. That could change depending on how the later half of the game goes, and also whether or not I am reviewing the Xbox version or the PC version, because the Xbox version is significantly less polished and has crashes and bugs all over the place. But it's also a couple of versions behind, according to the Discord of the developers. So it's interesting stuff, and I'm glad. I know some of you guys have played or maybe have thoughts, but that's where I'm at with it. I'm having a lot of fun.
No, I put in a significant amount of time yesterday. And I think it's interesting. I'm not the biggest survival crafter fan, right? Like that's a very popular genre, especially on PC. It tends to come across as a little janky to me. I don't love having little walls that I have to put up and buildings that I have to make. My favorite of these is Subnautica. But Palworld, when you start it up, to me, looks like junk, right? Like the assets, the character designs, the world that you pop in looks like a kind of Unreal Engine tech demo when you start up. And so I bounced out of it pretty quick. I was like, I don't have time for this. I don't want to learn a new game. But my daughters love Pokemon. And more importantly for this conversation, they love Minecraft. And so I said, all right, let's try it with one of them and see how that works and whether they respond to it or not. And it 100% works. We wound up playing for 8 hours yesterday. And I think there's two levels of it working. So the first level of Palworld working is this kind of stupidness. It's kind of silliness in its concepts, right? So you go and you hunt a chicken, or what my daughter would call a wooloo, which is actually a lamb ball, but we'll get into that later, I promise. And you go and you hunt these various pals, and you get them in your pal sphere. No poke, no ball, pal sphere. And you bring them back to your base, and they do things for you. And there's a certain amount of silliness to that concept and coolness to having your Firefox constantly making fire in your campfire to bake the berries that you just caught so that the other pals can eat, while one of your penguin pals waters your garden, right? Like all of this in the center of your base is cool, right? You see all these Pokemon using their elemental powers to do things that make sense, and it's all well thought about and put together. So on the one hand, it's silly. You get out there and you have the front screen of like a Pokemon looking character with a giant machine gun. You have notions about shooting and things about where you're going to get to in this game. And then you go and you hunt these pals. And when they die, they kind of flop over or roll down a hill with like little X's in their eyes. And it's all very humorous to observe. But then the actual game is designed well, right? So one of the things I really hate about survival crafters is the wide openness, right? Just the amount of choice, and you don't know exactly where the game designers have put their efforts into how these things go. And they have a really smart methodology of having you build your base up with a very long, elaborate tutorial, and telling you what to focus on so that you get a kind of feel for all the various things the game can do before you start heading off on journeys. And I think it's a really smart way to handle it. It feels very gamified. And then you have all the cool silliness. So like after our 8-hour session yesterday, I had just built a strap to put the Firefox on my chest so I could use him as a flamethrower. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's ridiculous. But it's also super fun, and it makes sense for all this stuff that you've built up. And it's not super hard. It's not like the world's hardest survival crafter where everything's just hunting you down and creepers are eating all your stuff or whatever. But it does have an aspect of difficulty with some of the enemies. And when you're getting killed by tiny little cats that all run at you at once and gnaw your health points completely away, you can't help but laugh. So it's funny, it's silly, and yeah, part of that is the design of these pals, which have a lot of shared elements with Pokemon. But as I said on Twitter, as I will probably say in Virtual Legality later this week, based on the number of people that have asked me, this is not what we would call an obvious case of infringement. They shared kind of design sensibilities. They are not copies of each other. And obviously the fact that it's a completely different type of game than Pokemon, like when Travis had called it Pokemon with Guns, when other people had said that, I think the assumption for me was it might be a tighter Unreal type looking game over the stuff that the Pokemon company produces, but that it would be a turn-based RPG where you're going through a world and your little guys would have guns, but outside of that, it would be Pokemon, right? And we see that. We see Cassette Beasts, we see Temtem, we see Pokemon games with different designs. This game has closer designs. I've said before in this space and elsewise that it's probably a little close to the sun for my liking if I were the lawyers here. But outside of that, it's not a clear case of infringement. So all the people that are asking me, is Nintendo going to sue? Honestly, this game was not a secret. This was not a underground back alley game that was being built without their knowledge, right? There were trailers of this years ago, and people called it Pokemon with Guns at the time. This is not the kind of thing that jumped out at them. So the answer is maybe you can sue anybody for anything, but the fact that it is so popular probably went through the zone of annoying enough to Nintendo to shut down to they would look really bad to shut it down at this point. So I doubt that there will be legal action on this, and it will be a very hard case to win anyway.
Indeed. Yeah, I saw some of the complaints online. Like, interestingly, the Pokemon community is especially mad at Palworld right now, and they're mad because some of the designs are so close to Pokemon designs, including one that's like a Cheshire Cat pal that seems to just lift the same eyes and smile, like it's like identical, like they just like copy and pasted that asset. So there is some stuff that's like, whoa, like that's pretty on the spot on the nose. But yeah, I think it would be in poor taste to shut it down. And also, I don't know, it's not like they're using Pikachu in their game or anything like that. We've seen Pokemon shameless kind of clones before, and I think the important thing to me is that they're doing something different or new, and not trying to make money off of Pokemon's actual coattails, right? And Palworld is very different as a game. That's why I'm making a point to tell people it is a survival game. It's really not a Pokemon game in that sense at all. But it is interesting to see these people who are clearly big fans of Pokemon kind of take it into their own hands to make a different type of game in that world. And I think there's a lot of appetite for that, given Game Freak's seeming kind of inability to provide a little bit of evolution with their own property. And so I think people are taking it upon themselves to make the Pokemon games they wish they could play, were it not for copyright and intellectual property.
And I think that's when you see these conversations online, that's what you got to ask yourself, right? Is like, what is the purpose of copyright? What do you want to see happen here? And I would argue the purpose of copyright, and I would argue it because this is what the Copyright Act says and what the various congressional records point out, is to encourage creativity. We want remixes. We want people to take things that are in existence that people have come up with and look at them from a different perspective, right? We don't want you to copy Pikachu and put it in the game, although arguably with some of the stuff Palworld did, even if they did that, you could comment on it being satire or pair. And so you might have an argument there. So in this particular instance, we want folks to say, hey, okay, there are cute little animals that run around, and right now we have it as a turn-based RPG battler where you build up in gyms. What could that look like in a different genre? What would that look like as a Souls game? What would that look like as a survival crafter? And that's what the Copyright Act and copyright and intellectual property in the world is designed to do, is to say, hey, Nintendo, you get money for making this thing. It exists in the world now, but you don't control it for every reason, for every possible thing that somebody could do with it. We want people to build off that. That's how human ingenuity works.
Yep. Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's cool.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, I mean, it no doubt has taken over. I've seen, I think we said right at the start, is it 4 million copies it's sold on Steam now in 2 days? Something like that. It's in the top 10 of played and sold. In fact, I think it hit number 1 played and sold, at least briefly.
I think it was 2. It was 700K concurrent. I think Counter-Strike.
It broke 700. It was at 890 at one point. I know.
Oh, really?
It hit 1 million, didn't it? It beat Elden Ring.
Yeah, it was at 6 this morning when I saw it. Yeah,
6.
it was just past Elden Ring.
Ains is looking at the camera. I thought he just died there, but no, it did clear Elden Ring.
Yeah,
I mean, it's cool. It can beat a 2-year-old game finally, but whatever.
I mean, considering I came from an indie studio whose last game was Craftopia, a game that nobody has ever heard of, that was basically a shameless Breath of the Wild clone. I will say there is some fair criticism there of like, this seems to be what the studio does. They like look at really popular Nintendo games and they kind of just go, what if we made something very close to that? And it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I will say,
Oh, sorry, Travis, go.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, chat's correcting us. So it broke 1 million. In fact, Lucia said it almost hit 1.3 million concurrent.
God damn!
So it's going nuts,
popping off.
That's crazy, and I think it is because it streams well. And part of the shtick is that they look enough like they could have been Pokemon that's where some of the humor comes from.
Of course,
yeah.
Well, and I think that it streams well. Multiplayer component helps too on PC. Playing it with other people.
The IGN team about this when people were passing around the comparisons. I was like, honestly, this game is so silly it almost might qualify under parody law. You know what I mean? Like you could just argue like they're just kind of doing South Park.
That's your preview of virtual legality for the week, folks.
There you go. Great.
There you go. Well, that's cool. I think I'm glad so many people are enjoying it. Definitely look cool. I started up on Xbox and tried it. I like Hogue. It's just not my type of thing, and I've got no one else to. I don't have a young daughter who may enjoy it. So
she laughed so much.
Hop on in.
She was like, that is ridiculous. And she was enjoying herself. And she's a teenager. She's very serious and thinks about things a lot, but does enjoy things like Pokemon with her younger sister. And in this particular case, she was like, that is insane. Did that sheep just die and roll down the hill and into the river? And can we get it out of the river? And then, okay, we need wool. How do we get wool? It's like, you're not going to go murder those sheep, are you, Dad? Well, we're going to do
wool.
I love some of the random encounters. I don't know if you guys have started to experience these, but the later you get into the game, the more your base gets attacked by like elite groups. They just show up to your
get raided by man-eating pals.
Yeah, exactly. And they get pretty creative with some of the higher level ones. Like one of the ones I reached was called 7 Bushi. There's a pal named Bushi that basically is a samurai, and one of the random encounters is you can get raided by 7 samurai. Like they recreate the 7 samurai attack scene, and they all show up with their katanas like running up the hill at you, and they're like level 40 something. Like they're like so high level, and they will just
I got attacked by a dinosaur. I got attacked by a dinosaur, and the whole base was on fire, but we caught it. It's our pal now. Knocks down trees for us.
Nice. Yeah. It's cool, man. What a cool game.
Well, 2024 is already off and kicking, man. Prince of Persia was amazing. This is obviously done way better than I think nearly anyone anticipated, and we have big releases coming up soon that we talked about last week. So with no slowdown from 2023.
It's crazy that it's this fun in early access. I'm really excited to see where it ends up when it gets its 1.0. Maybe we'll re-review it, and I would love to re-review it down the road, kind of like we did with Grounded. But yeah,
Travis, I will say my daughter said one thing when we did get finished with our Palworld session, which is that she likes Grounded the best.
Grounded is still my second favorite survival game. I think it's Minecraft, Grounded, but this could be 3, honestly, just because I love the comedy of it. Like
I'm going to continue to fight for love for Subnautica.
I like Subnautica too. It's on my top survival games list, my IGN playlist. If you want to check that out, I am trying to keep that thing up to date.
Nice. Well, that's cool. So thank you for the context there, guys. Because I only played it for a very, very short amount of time. So
hop into my world, man. We'll show you the ropes.
I think it clunks hard when you first pop in there, and you're like, "Oh, this looks like a junk budget game that they put out there to get some money." And to some extent, it is, but it also has a lot of really good ideas.
Well, the funny thing I noticed right away is like you get a little slate thing, and you have to leave the cave, and it goes ding with almost the exact same sound as Breath of the Wild, and I'm like, really? This is what we're doing?
Oh, there's a lot of Breath of the Wild in it. There's a lot of that kind of little haunting piano melody when something happens.
Yeah.
I think that is them like still being in the Craftopia like days. Like this plays as like their last game, the Breath of the Wild clone mixed with the Pokemon clone mixed with a survival game that copies like every other survival game. So like I do mention that in my review in progress is like this is pretty shameless. Like you kind of just have to swallow the fact that they're just not even trying to hide the kind of rip-off level here. But
again, I would say intellectual property is based around the notion that you can get new things out of combining old things in different ways that people haven't done before. And like this is Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, times Minecraft, times Monster Hunter with Pokemons. I mean, it's weird.
Yeah, it is. Cool. There is no other game like this in the sense that it combines a Pokemon thing with a survival game thing, and it's a brilliant idea. So there is some originality, even though all the parts of the game that kind of congeal together they're all on their own ripoffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, let's hope with this success, they're able to kind of keep up with it, obviously. And maybe they can kind of continue to build this out into something truly special and that has some longevity. So we shall see. All right. Before we obviously jump to the core topics, guys, what other games have you been playing you want to talk about?
Yeah, I don't think I have any Hogs notes for this week because I've been playing Prince of Persia and Palworld. Palworld probably would have been a Hogs notes in a different universe, but hey, everybody knows about it.
Along this timeline, it's popular.
Yeah. Prince of Persia is fantastic. And I know Ains already said that to you all, but I didn't believe him that much. So I actually got in there, played it some more. Ains is right. I can back that up. But I didn't expect it, even while I was playing the opening parts of it. So, yeah, Prince of Persia has the feelings of a Symphony of the Night or whatever your favorite of the Metroidvania genre is, because it has different... I'm going to call them biomes. They aren't really biomes, but areas.
Yeah.
In Prince of Persia, they have different enemies. They have a lot of forward momentum and progress and newness. That is what reminds me of playing Super Metroid or playing Symphony of the Night. And I don't think I've felt that way in quite a while. And that includes games that are really popular from some people. Like I didn't see that in Hollow Knight as much for me personally. I know people love that one, but it felt very samey to me, at least during the middle of that game. And Prince of Persia just constantly has new stuff to show you in a way that really reminds me of the games of old that made the genre popular. So if you are interested, check it out. Although, as somebody said in comments, I think it was Googleman, yes, Ubisoft will generally lower their prices very soon. So if you're already here at a week past when it released, you might as well hold out.
Yeah, it is. You said a lot of things that I kind of commented on my review, and I will tell you seriously, and I know I've said this before, Hogue, but it only gets better. Like it gets better. There's no point in that game where you go, wow, this is kind of a slog. You know what I mean? It just gets better and better and better all the way through the end. And the battles get grander, the platforming gets crazier, like it just expands and expands. I honestly, someone asked me about Metroid Dread being kind of the most recent, both Metroid,
but
love
also Metroid Dread.
Yeah, and I loved it too. Loved that game. Finished it the week it came out. We gave it a really nice review as well. I think this is a better game than Metroid Dread overall once you play through both fully. Yeah,
I
it's
think Metroid
fantastic.
Dread gets a little too complicated in the way it's set up in certain important respects, and Prince of Persia hasn't done that to me yet.
Yeah, yeah, and the whole robot. I forget the EB. I don't remember what the hell they're called. They weren't great. But anyway, regardless, yeah, definitely check it out. But that's cool. Dan, Travis, anything else rocking right now?
Golf.
I'm trying to think.
It's on.
Golf?
That's all I've been playing. I'm playing
The
golf.
2K or PGA?
2K. PGA,
Okay.
just I don't know what it is. I like I want to be able to play PGA, but for some reason it's so much easier for me to play 2K. I don't know what it is.
He's just more of a live guy, you know.
I really miss all the majors and stuff. It kind of sucks because 2K is basically all made up stuff.
Yeah,
except for a few of them.
PGA has a lot better licensing. Yeah.
Yes, it does. But it's that my short game sucks on EA, so I have to go to 2K. I mean, it's really bad. Really, really
Yeah,
bad.
the chat just reminded me. Ains, in your intro, you did not talk at all about the other game that I've been playing, which is The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered.
Oh boy.
I gave you the
You've been playing
opportunity,
that?
but yeah, you were playing that?
Yeah, I've been playing that. Last of Us Part 2 is one of those games that it just hurts me on my soul because I want to love it. There's so much good artistry. The game looks amazing. There are huge set pieces. There are nice little character beats in moments, and then it's all in the service of just the ugliest, most terrible story in gaming, and I hate it. Like I hate it on like a very important way because I also love it.
The way you said
And
that
the
was
fact that they added a infinite roguelike mode celebrating the cycle of violence to The Last of Us Part 2 is insanity to me.
Oh,
I don't think they knew what else to add to sell this. You know what I mean? It's
That's
like,
their
okay,
move,
we'll do
man.
a roguelike
too. Yeah,
that's their move.
Factions would have been fun.
That's the Sony move. You get a over-the-shoulder third-person game, and then you throw a roguelike mode on it as DLC, right? That's the move.
And it's good. Like No Return is interesting, and it's interesting to play that kind of game in the Last of Us environment, but it's such a tonal mismatch to whatever the hell that game was trying to tell you about various things. And like, I want to love it. You go in, you start Last of Us Part 2, and you're like, there's so much artistry in this. It's gorgeous. There's so much that's been baked into this game. And then you keep playing it and you get further and further, and you're like, oh, right, the actual plot, the narrative here isn't even half baked. It never hit the oven. It might not have made it into the kitchen. So it just bugs the crap out of me.
They call that the Druckmann effect, I think, is how that works.
Oh man, that's good. I feel very similar. I mean, we've ranted about Last of Us 2 here many times. I agree with you. There's some parts of that game that I want to love. It's obviously a very stunning game. It achieves a lot in various little small parts, just as you said. But the overarching game and story of that game is a disaster.
It's too long.
Way too long.
Too long. That's what I felt about it. Like it was one of those games where when I finished it, I was like, "Oh my god, it's over."
Yeah,
I just didn't want to keep playing it because that game should have been like 10 hours in my mind because of the type of game it is. You're sneaking and you're kind of repeating the same beats over and over again. I'm talking about the playing part, right?
Yeah.
Like the
every inch of
part
mile
gets
gameplay
old.
can only go so long. Yeah,
exactly. And I kind of just wanted to be a couple levels and get to the story. And I felt like I was being subjected to a lot of a game I didn't want to play in order to see the story. As you guys put, when the story is then disappointing, that makes the game even less worth it. And it felt like they just really were really getting it in. You know, they're just like just taking their time telling this thing. And I was like, man.
Yeah.
So that's why I still haven't finished Ragnarok, by the way. It's the same thing.
Another one.
Same thing to me.
Ragnarok is less offensive to my soul.
Yes. Agree.
Yes.
Big agree.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the weird thing is, I know if I remember correctly, Travis, Hogue, you guys weren't as high on God of War 2018 as Dan and I were. Like, I don't think it's a 10, but I really enjoy God of War 2018. I think it's a fantastic game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably go 9
too. 8 because of it's the the thing that kept getting at me was the enemy variety. They make you fight the same damn boss.
They do.
12 times.
They do.
In that game.
Yeah.
It's really.
But like, from a narrative perspective, they just keep moving the goalposts. I mean, it's just a red herring run for 30 hours.
Also true. But I know we've talked about this before. I don't want to harp on it, but you look at God of War, you look at Last of Us, you look at Uncharted with Uncharted 4, and it's like you guys had really, really strong game here. Like, why do you keep like you're trying to stretch it out and expand it into something it's not, and it doesn't work as well as it did in its original form. Last of Us, as we know, whether you like it or not, the original is one of the most celebrated games ever. I mean, Last of Us 2 is, I guess you could.
I love Last of Us Part 1.
Me too.
I know Travis doesn't, and I tend to come to his side of it might have broken Sony, but I do love The Last of Us Part 1.
It's looking more and more like Travis is right on that as time goes on.
His thesis does appear to have some validity, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, my issue with Last of Us Part 1 is the same I have with Part 2, which is that it's a stealth game with bad stealth mechanics, and you have to play a lot of it. But I will say, The Last of Us Part 1, the payoff is worth it because it's not as long. You can get through that game in like 8 hours, maybe 10 hours. And the story ends up being more worth it than
for the record. Toad cannot get through Last of Us Part 1 in 8 hours.
I can't.
Isn't it a pretty short game?
I'd say 12. It's about 12. Okay. It's not super long. It's way shorter than Last of Us 2. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I just remember like Last of Us Part 1, you could pick up that game and get through like a good portion of it in a single sitting, and 2 you're no way. Like, you can't get through that in one day unless you're
60 hours with 2.
Yeah,
well,
I think it took
over 40 on 2. Yeah.
Dan jokes notwithstanding, after Last of Us Part 1 is when Neil Druckmann takes over Naughty Dog. Right, so that's when you have Uncharted 4. That's when you have Last of Us 2, and then apparently just remakes of Uncharted 4 and Last of Us 2 until the end of time.
I remember when we were playing Last of Us 2. I think it was before Travis or Hogue were on Bitcast, if I remember correctly, because Dan and I were talking. Yeah, Dan and I were talking about with Bert, and I remember I got to one of the key moments in Last of Us 2, and I thought, based on Last of Us 1, that was near the end, right? I'm like, oh, I'm almost finished it. And I told these guys where I was, and they're like, you're not even halfway through the game yet. And I'm like,
you hadn't flipped over.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what? Like, what are you talking about?
I still say that Last of Us 2 should have been campaigns and then a third part after the 2 campaigns were completed, because the way it runs linearly is just not great.
Yeah, it's a mess. Anyway, I know we've ranted about that game many times on the show.
Yes, I did not mean to bring it up, but I did get the remaster. Sony putting it out for $10 is probably still too much for what it is, but that was enough to convince me to get it. I do like the artistry on display. I know people accuse me of being a PlayStation hater, but I really do think it's one of the most fantastic artist pieces in gaming, and it's a shame that it was not written better so that artistry could be better realized. But
can I ask you
get the remaster? It does load fast. No return is interesting. So if $10,
how are the graphics? I mean, I know they put out like a patch for 60 FPS.
So here's the thing: Last of Us Part 2 was stunning already, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's still stunning. It fits right in with 2023, 2024 releases. I would have to really look at the 2 next to each other to see if there's a big difference. But it looks like I remember it from 4 years ago.
I was going to say, I think Digital Foundry did a comparison, and it's some little lighting touch-ups. You know what I mean? It's if you're probably for you, Dan, especially as you joke all the time, you probably wouldn't even notice the difference.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't. Yeah,
it is as stunning as I remember it, which means that it's
already
true
a stunning
remaster.
game. We knew
to bring it from there to here.
Yeah. By the way, over 300 people hanging out with us live. Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Share it out as we get into we're about to transition to the conversation on Developer Direct and all the announcements this week.
This is where everybody starts to hate me.
And me. I'll be right there behind you.
What? Like, you guys are Debbie Downers, man. Come on.
I got so much crap from my Twitter thread for my live tweets of this particular
I love them.
Showcase, and so I'm ready. I'm ready for it, chat. Let me know how much you hate me. Remember, though, I'm an Xbot and a PlayStation hater, according to the internet. So
yes, but also a Sony and a Xbox hater. So
that's true too. All of these are facts. I don't know why you guys are,
we should all hate both of them, to be honest.
I hate gaming. I don't know what you guys are here for.
Yeah.
I hate video games. Why don't you even talk about these things?
Crap on everything. Listen, I'm just, that thread, you mentioned Alpha Centauri. I just want to shout you out for that, because I see nobody ever mention that game. It's one of my favorites of all time. It's a great game. I love that game. So,
by the way, Dan, when you said the reason this whole Last of Us 2 commentary came up is when you talked about playing golf. Silk in it, I wanted to shout him out in the chat, said, "Are you playing 2K, PGA, or Last of Us 2?" Which is a great comment. So fantastic. Travis, I didn't know if you had any other game that you wanted to touch on that we're not going to get to as part of the other conversation.
That you can talk
about. I think the only other game I played aside from Palworld, because I've been full heads down on that review, is Disney Dreamlight Valley, which I talked a little bit about last week, but I finished all of
gave you the unending games.
Yeah. I finished all of the content for that, and I'm excited to maybe write a review of where that game's at right now. That would be probably next week sometime. But I am playing other games. I just can't talk about them right now. I've got one really big one that I played a ton of that I'll be able to talk about on Thursday. And then
I just love it when Travis does that, because it's always like, I got one that you guys would just die if I could talk to you about it. It would be awesome.
I'll talk about it next week.
The best game you've never played is coming. I've played it.
I felt that way when you had Asgard's Wrath 2 in your back pocket.
Yeah,
that was fun. What a game! Like, nobody's ever going to play that game, unfortunately.
By the way, you guys just reminded me. I forgot to announce this at the beginning in our intro, along with at the end. We are no Bitcast next week. I'm actually away next weekend. I totally forgot, literally until the other day, that I'm away next weekend, and so we're taking off next week. Just want to give everyone the heads up now, and then we'll be back the following week, which means the following week we'll be able to talk about both Suicide Squad and Like a Dragon. So the following episode should be a lot of fun. But yes,
both of those games are going to be out in 2 weeks. Wow, crazy!
Yeah, crazy.
I will be able to talk about Yakuza, and that is it.
Only.
Fair enough.
You're not going to play
else. I will listen.
Play it with
I will
us?
listen to it. No,
I thought we were doing a fair play squad.
He is.
No.
I will drive to his house, and I can't force Dan to do anything, but I'll give it a good shot, guys.
Gunpoint.
We can say that. Our current plan is to play the Suicide Squad together, so we'll see.
We'll get him, guys.
And like a reluctant hero, Dan has yet to answer the call.
No.
But he will. He will.
He just sees the light in the sky and he goes right back to Yakuza.
It's okay, Bilbo. Someday you'll realize that you wanted to go on an adventure all along.
All right, let's catch up. We got a couple super chats. Mr. Don's in the house.
Don Liner with $5 super chat. Good morning, Bitcast.
I'm not comfortable with Bitcast.
Bitcast.
Yeah, we changed that.
I'm on Team Bitcast.
I got the Plat and Eternites. Great game. Did Hogue play more? Also, anyone play Grand Blue Relink demo? I still don't know what that is.
Don, I keep stalling out in the middle of Eternites, so no, I haven't played much more. I did play the Grand Blue Fantasy Relink demo. I didn't love it. I actually talked to Alex about this a little bit behind the scenes. It felt like one notch too generic for me, but I will say this: JRPG demos almost always bounce off of me because they have to tell you enough about the combat system that they put you in the middle of the game. You don't have enough context for what you're doing, and I don't tend to love those. I didn't like the Tales of Arise demo when I played it, for instance. That turned out to be one of my favorites that year. So I'm not holding it against Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, but I didn't love the demo.
I bounced off
Fair enough.
Relink demo pretty quick as well.
Yeah, I know Alex he's a big fan. So yeah, I think he's covering that one for us too. So
yeah, no, he pinged me and I was like, well, fighting the goblins for like an hour was not the best way to demo the game, I would guess. But hey, it's not up to me.
Fair enough. Don did then follow with another super chat.
Yeah, another $5. Oops, chatted in the Hogue chat. Not season gaming chat.
The Hogue channel will take it, Don. Thank you.
I was gonna say there's no right side to super chat on. We get them all.
Everybody wins. Judgment taught me shogi, koi koi, oichi kabu, and the next is mahjong.
I can't play any of those.
They are so hard. Like I thought they're all the same. I've played every Yakuza game for literally hundreds and hundreds of hours. I cannot play these games. None of them.
I can play shogi and mahjong. Those are pretty simple.
No clue.
I think the worst way to learn one of these games is with like the 25 text boxes in a row that a Yakuza or a Judgment gives you. So I've never gotten into it.
Yakuza is not very good with tutorials. They kind of just slap you in the face with them.
Love it. Love it. Don, thank you so much. And no, it super chat wherever you want, my friend. It all works. Good to see you.
I'm very appreciative.
Yeah. And Darth Mac, member comments?
Yeah, enjoying hanging out with the gang. Yeah.
Simple, straight to the point. Enjoying having you hang out with us, Mac. Good to see you. All right. So, let's kick off. We're going to go through all the shows here that are kind of demonstrations we saw this week. Obviously, we'll start with Xbox Developer Direct. So, we got Indiana Jones, Avowed, ARA History Untold, Hellblade 2, and of course, Visions of Mana was the 5th game that they included this week. So, just going down the list here, and this is where we'll kick off the controversy right away on the panel.
Can't help but note that you made that list the order that you wanted.
Not
no, definitely not. Hellblade 2 is way in front of ARA for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I did notice one big switch then.
Yeah.
I think this is just how I was typing it this morning. Yeah. But Indy is definitely, at the top for a reason.
Yeah.
So Indiana Jones, we get 10 minutes with Machine Games. They show off the game. So Indy is a first-person game with third-person cutbacks. One of the big questions coming into the game, was it going to be first or third person?
I thought you told me last week that it was third person. I thought that.
I think I did. I think I talked about that.
I took that as news.
No, it was not confirmed prior.
I
think I had said that Machine Games said it was their first third-person game, but I must have been misremembering that. I think I said that last week too. I was like, I think.
Damn it, Travis!
Typical.
Clearly, I was
typical IGN level reporting.
Yeah, I mean that was not a report. It was just me saying I thought.
Did you know that the Halo Battle Royale has been canceled too?
Did you know that Halo Infinite has been canceled?
Disinformation,
breaking all kinds.
I know, just spreading misinformation. So Indiana Jones will take place all over the world, take you to a bunch of different places. There's going to be linear narrative-driven sections, and there will also be open area maps filled with puzzles. It's going to have relationships, secrets to find. The whip is a design focus for the game, so you can play it aggressively or in stealth. And all they said about the release date is 2024. It's the most kind of unannounced release date of the whole show, just this year sometime. So we'll see if it actually makes 2024 or not.
Yeah, it might not make it.
Yeah. So for me, this is where we say controversy. So I really, really loved the demonstration of this game. Yes, it absolutely took me back to what I loved about indie growing up. I love the look of it. I love the kind of style of it and what they're going for in the game. And I did go to the Xbox media portal and kind of pull down any other information they had on the game. They had some additional screenshots and stuff, which look really, really good as well. But I'm super excited about this one. I think it's funny that they, of course, had to pay Harrison Ford for his face so he can look like Indiana Jones. But, of course, voiced by Dan's favorite voice actor, none other than Troy Baker himself.
I thought he did an okay job. He sounds like Indy, a little rugged, little.
Honestly, I didn't even recognize Troy Baker there. I thought it was an AI youthified Harrison Ford. So
it does sound like a younger Harrison Ford. Yeah. But anyway, I really enjoyed it. I thought it looked great. I'm excited for the game. Hogue, what'd you think of it, man?
Let's take the other side of the equation, shall we? So I was immediately put off by all of the gameplay shots of first person, so much that I was saying, I remember that Bitcast told me this was third person, but boy, does this look first person to me. Yeah. And I don't think punching and using the whip looks very fun in a first person perspective. So I didn't enjoy what they showed. I thought that the plot that was put out there in the trailer, which is essentially there's a lot of religious things in a circle around the earth, doesn't compel me to go and see it. So Indiana Jones and the Great Circle isn't the same as, the Ark of the Covenant or the Holy Grail. And so I'm not compelled by what they showed from a story perspective. I didn't think the gameplay looked good. I thought the graphics looked very good for what is apparently a game that's at least close to a year out. But I am not on board. And I also thought that first person's a problem. I don't love that. And then when you compare it to something like the Wolfenstein games, that the Indiana Jones brand is clearly much more constrained from what Machine Games was doing, whether it was the moon and lasers and giant mechs and whatever else was happening in the Wolfenstein games. So I think it's a poor fit that is primarily nostalgia goggle driven. And I am not super excited about this particular title. I apologize in advance to anybody that I've offended by not being excited about this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair to not be excited about it. I'll give my first impressions to it, which are that I agree that some of the gameplay looked wonky to me, which is actually not uncommon for Machine Games. I don't know if you guys remember the like maybe you guys didn't even experience this, and I'm remembering like E3 and stuff, but I saw Wolfenstein before it came out, and I think there were demos for it and stuff, or trailers, and it kind of looked like a janky I assume that's the response to Hogue.
That's the response to Hogue.
Yeah, I saw it kind of looked a little janky. I think Machine Games, their games look janky until they're in your hands, and maybe that's because they are continually polishing how the game plays and looks right up until the very end, or maybe that's just how they're like. Wolfenstein looks janky, and then when you play it, you're like, oh, this is amazing, right? That's just kind of how that game demos, and that's how I remember it demoing the New Order before it came out. So I agree that it looks a little bit like it needs work. And I think that's why we don't have a solid release date. And that's why I think this game's probably coming out early 2025. Just my kind of senior eye with seeing games.
Always assume the next time frame.
Yeah, I have a pretty good eye at this point for seeing a game and kind of knowing how close it is to coming out. I can kind of look at it and go, yeah, I think they're still working on that in there. And I think this game's probably like February or March of next year, if I had to guess. But I will say there are a lot of things that made me excited for this. One, I'm actually super stoked it's first person. And the reason I'm stoked it's first person is not because I prefer that perspective, but I'm just really glad it is not yet another over-the-shoulder Lara Croft Uncharted game. And I was really expecting this game to look like a clone of Uncharted and feel like it was the original, copying the inspiration, the game that was inspired by Indiana Jones. And it doesn't look like that. It looks very different and very new, and I think that's cool. Being indie sounds like a fun thing to me because, who doesn't want to use the whip and walk around ancient places and solve puzzles? I feel like you get more detail. You feel more kind of like in the world that way, which I think is cool. I like that they're trying new stuff. I like that they're playing to their strengths, both in the first person action and also in the existence of Nazis. This studio is really good at like characterizing Nazis in a specific way and giving them like a, twisted personality and
in a specific way. You mean like Nazis?
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the way that they personify them, not just make them like a generic, I know. I'm wearing the outfit. Like they have like
Sure.
They're really good at creating characters that are Nazis and have that skewed view of the world, but also have their own kind of just psychosis, which is really cool. So I think this game needs development time, which is why we don't have a firm release date on it. But I think the product we get, I trust Machine Games. I think the gameplay is going to be there, and what I've seen elsewhere excites me. So I'm probably in between an Ains and a Hogue here, but I think this game is going to be good. I really do.
It's a good place to live, for the record, Travis.
Yeah, that probably is a good place. By the way, Hogue, this is my favorite comment so far today. This is why we need town square, so we could throw tomatoes at Hogue.
I accept your tomatoes. I don't want anybody to listen to me and get less excited about something they're excited about. I think excitement in the world is a good thing. I'm explaining my position. And one thing I do want to address from the chat, and certainly from a number of the comments that I received on Twitter, is that I don't think that it's a great thing that it's just differentiated from Uncharted or Tomb Raider. I think that there's a reason those games were made in that perspective, because it fits the kind of wonder and awe and cinematic nature of those adventures and puts them in a better perspective than first person tends to do. And so I think it rings to me of a certain amount of fear when you say we had to look different than Uncharted because Uncharted is so great. To me, it's all right. You're Indiana freaking Jones. Go and do it better, right? And so what has instead been offered is a clunky punching whip game. That
You don't know it's clunky though. You don't know it's clunky.
I don't know that it's clunky. I'm saying that's what's been offered to me so far. And Travis even admits that it looks clunky, even though he doesn't think it'll wind up clunky at the end of the day. So I see people reacting to this trailer and say, I can only take what I see in front of me right this moment. And if you want to be excited about what it's going to become, that's fine. But for it to just be different than Uncharted to be what you're excited about, I don't think that's a good thing. I think they could have made a killer, better Uncharted game than has Indiana Jones take back his hat and whip from Lara Croft and Nathan freaking Drake, right? But instead, they go this other direction. And while I agree that Wolfenstein has some good characters in it and that Machine Games tends to make good characters, I don't think they have to be limited to, we're really good at Nazi games, right? And I think to some extent they lean into that a little bit. If I recall the marketing of like the second Wolfenstein game, and now even with Indiana Jones, it's like, I believe the little description is like, we're happy to be killing Nazis again with Indiana Jones or whatever. And it's like, great. But, Indiana Jones at its foundational core isn't just about killing Nazis or being BJ Blazkowicz. It is about adventures and puzzle solving and one point leading to the next. And hopefully having a good story at the core of that. And I don't know whether that'll happen or not. I do know that I'm not as interested in the game as I was before the announcement and gameplay reveal. So that's all I can say, honestly.
Well, I think you'll be proven wrong. I think that they know what they're doing, and I think that
I don't think I can be wrong on I'm not excited. But
yeah, I mean, I think your instincts are wrong, is what I mean. I think it's going to turn out pretty good.
Oh man,
I'm excited. I said, Dan, what'd you think of this, man?
I'm kind of closer to what Hoax thought. I literally yelled no when I saw the gameplay for the first time out loud.
Why?
I'm not sure. I was hoping for a third-person game.
Oh,
that being said, I'm not necessarily opposed to first-person games. Like, it's not. I was just thinking, man, like Hoax said, it kind of lends itself, that genre, to kind of a third-person, perspective for me. But that's just my preference, and that's what people need to understand. It's not a like this can't be done. You've got. The only thing I would be worried about really is maybe the stealth parts, because short of like maybe like Dishonored and Deus Ex, there's not a ton of really great first-person stealth games out there, and it's a lot harder to do it, I think, for me anyway.
I mean, if you take away all the good examples of first-person stealth, there aren't any.
Well, the thing is, you've got Arcane Lion or whatever it is. You've got access to them. They've got the Dishonored team.
Was that Arcane Leon?
Leon, is it Leon or Lion? I don't know.
It's Leon. Yeah.
Oh, is it
Leon.
French? Yeah. Well, my bad.
It's French. Yes.
Yeah. All right, Leon. So
it's not just
anyway,
French, it's France.
Yeah, literally in France. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's fine. I mean, I still love indie, so I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm probably not, like a Coke segment, probably not as excited as I was before it, but at the same time, it's still indie. I grew up with indie, saw every one of those in the theaters with my dad. So he's a very big character for me. So I just hope it's really
I did not
good.
see Dial of Destiny in the theater, but other than that, yes.
I still haven't seen it. I still need to watch that movie.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I want to see it. It looked fun. I don't know.
So Debbie asks a good question too, which I thought was interesting around the music, right? Is it worthy of John Williams? Obviously, very classical score. So I think that I do appreciate, at least, because this is the thing I hate. Like, when games have to replicate something and you say, like, well, Indiana Jones has John Williams, so the music has to be John Williams. It's like, nothing is John Williams worthy. Nothing will ever be. Like, that's impossible. It's an impossible target to hit. But I do at least appreciate in the presentation that they addressed how classic the John Williams score is and how classic his music is in theater, and that they are putting a lot of effort and time and focus on the music in the game with a an orchestral score. So I at least appreciated that. Will it be as
John
good as the
Williams,
movies? Probably not. But at least they're trying.
John Williams's music will be in the game, right? Like, so it will be.
Well,
John
definitely.
Williams
I mean, at least
in
based on the trailers and things.
Yeah, they
they
played the theme. Yeah, but I don't know how much. Right? They're obviously adding new original music.
Of course, yeah.
For the game. So.
Yeah. I mean, the baseline problem is always how much do you copy and how much new do you bring to the table, right? One of the problems they have is Uncharted didn't have necessarily a great score all the way through, but it had that Nathan Drake theme that people think of when they think of Uncharted. And so are they going to do something that is like that when they already have the Indiana Jones theme? I don't know what that's going to look like. And that's the kind of thing that you deal with. Star Wars has gone a bunch of different directions with the music that they put in. I do think Respawn has kind of figured out this combination of orchestral score like you're watching the movie and then like kind of in-universe music that they put around the game that works really well. But yeah, I am not as worried about John Williams because I don't think he's been up to the task for some time. Like I don't think the Disney trilogy was really aided by it. Yeah. He's been copying himself for a while, so that doesn't bother me. But I would love to be more excited about Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis is one of my favorite PC adventure games of all time, right? And so I was hoping to get some of those same feelings from what is now known as the Great Circle, and I didn't. I also didn't. I didn't like I said, the overall premise. It didn't get me to buy that movie theater ticket to find out what the Great Circle is. So we'll see. I am hopeful. What?
You're not intrigued? You don't.
I'm not intrigued. No, it's a circle.
So, Hogue, what I'm getting from this?
Why? What is it? What does it do? Why is it a secret? What's going on? What is the Great Circle? What does it do?
Well, they literally talked about it, right? Like all of these iconic places in the world, when you map them out, create a great circle. That's what they talked about. So
I'm just wondering why that's important or what that does. To me, I don't know what the answer is. It's not as like on the nose as like the Last Crusade. Okay, they're going to go after the Grail, but I'm interested to see like what are we hunting here and why is it important? What crazy magical thing are we going to discover? And I hope it's not aliens.
On its face, what they presented is not as intriguing as the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, or Atlantis. Right?
What about the Temple of Doom? That's vague.
The Temple of Doom is kind of the step sibling, right? Like the Temple of Doom is not a big. What were they? I can't remember how they're called.
Shankara stones.
I was gonna say chakra stones.
Yeah, Shankara stones, dude. Yeah, you got to get all 5 of them. They only get 3 in the movie though. There's 5 canonically. 5 Shankara stones. You guys need to keep up on your indie lore.
It says, you know what? It says in this. Go ahead.
I remember in elementary school reading a book where Indiana Jones went after Noah's Ark. So I am at least as well versed as many on Indiana Jones, if not.
But have you watched the Young Indiana Jones television show?
I have.
Nice.
He fights the Red Baron.
He goes to the Treaty of Versailles. In that
that's Sean Patrick Flannery, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the same actor that plays the teenage version of him in Last Crusade, is it not?
No, that's River Phoenix.
Oh, that was River
Phoenix, man. Come on.
They look very similar.
Right. Travis is younger.
Yeah, River Phoenix, man.
I watched these movies in, they were old.
So classic. River Phoenix probably died when you were a little kid, Travis. He died a long time ago, but he was a very up and coming famous star.
Wait, you're telling me a guy whose name was River Phoenix died young? Because I think he came back
famously
based on that name. I don't think he's dead. I think he is with us.
Poor River.
Well,
is there a guy whose name is like Ocean Phoenix out there who looks like kind of similar?
Queen.
All right, moving on.
Gandalf the White.
Life is not a Final Fantasy, but I enjoy Indiana Jones. In fact, when I was a youngster, like my dream was to have a television with a VCR in it in my bedroom so that I could watch Last Crusade. But I unlike what Travis said about feeling more in the world, I do not feel more immersed in a first-person environment. I agree. That's what game designers say. That's what people say first person is supposed to do for you. I am a child of cinema and movies and television and media that comes from that form. So if you want to tell me a story, if you want me immersed in a wonder and awe scenario, That to me is a cinematic kind of view. That is a person standing on the thirds looking at a waterfall and not just having that be up in your screen.
Too old.
I think we got it at this point, Hogue. You didn't like the presentation. we got it.
I remember having this conversation with respect to Cyberpunk. So
yes, also true.
And you like that game.
The one thing I did just notice in the kind of preview info they gave on it is they said it'll take you from Marshall College, obviously where he teaches, to the Vatican, Pyramids of Egypt, snow-peaked Himalayas, and beyond. So you will be kind of traveling all over the place. So I hope that's implemented well with the environments. I guess we'll see, of course. Okay.
That's primarily have a cutscene where a plane flies and there's a line, right?
Yeah, I think they already kind of previewed that, right? Like briefly during the presentation. So the next one I had here was Avowed, which obviously, you know, that the little key art piece that they presented from Obsidian has kind of taken over. It's been all over the place. It's our thumbnail this week.
Is it a great sign that the desktop key art is what really got out of this presentation for Avowed?
So Avowed is
the thing I thought was interesting is last time we saw this game.
Let's not let Ains talk. No, let's not let him talk ever again.
Hey, interrupting is a natural flow of conversation. That's I've never understood the don't interrupt rule.
Because we're not in an in-person conversation. It's a podcast.
Yeah. I know, but we want it to sound like a regular conversation, right? A regular conversation, there's interruptions. Why are we letting the people who are the worst at conversations decide how conversations should work? It's insane.
Oh, no.
Interruptions should happen.
God, what is happening?
Anyway, I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh yeah, what I was going to say is the first time they showed Avowed, the thing that it got like flack for was being so colorful and like cartoony. And then I remember the reaction to this one was the exact opposite. Everybody was like, "Wow, there's so much color to it." And the key art, which is like the most color vomit thing that has ever been created, is
it's crazy looking.
Yeah, I think that's interesting that it was praised this time. I, for one, am for color. I think this game looks goofy and fun. But anyway, continue.
We already got into it now. I was trying to intro the game so we could have the conversation.
We like to go straight there.
Yeah, so I don't even know where to go because I lost my train of thought. But the environmental, I say for me, the environments, I'm with Travis. I enjoy. I think the color, the kind of the contrast to the different environments and the way they it's called the living lands, by the way, that they have in the game look good. Obviously, I'm a big fan of how Obsidian does conversational choices, right? And the way they kind of drive their quests and narrative. So I think that that's going to be really strong. At least I hope it is. If you look at like New Vegas, you look at Outer Worlds, even if you didn't like aspects of Outer Worlds, I think the conversational pieces and the story, the way it impacts things, I think was done very well. I'm excited about that.
Get out in front of me there, Ains.
So I'm excited about those aspects. I will say for someone who really likes kind of big, grandiose RPGs, the combat looks clunky to me, very clunky. I think that them saying that you can be a spellcaster or sword and board or, those classic kind of RPG builds, it just didn't look very good in the way it flowed. So first person RPG combat's never great, in my opinion. You just look at Skyrim, one of the most popular games of all time. The combat's boring as hell in Skyrim.
Skyrim is not good, but
no, it's not good.
There's lots of...
Go ahead.
No, go for it. Finish your thought.
What?
I said finish your thought.
Oh my God. I can't. Go ahead. I've lost it again. I give up.
I love this today. This is great.
I give up.
Hilarious.
I'm just gonna try to interrupt all of Ains' thoughts with like a little interjection.
Game looks okay. I hope it's good. Move on.
I'm trying to think of
whoa. Hey, Avowed.
Okay.
What did you pull this up for a reason, sir?
What'd you say? I just wanted people to have something to reflect on.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This is
Look
the key art that
audio listeners.
About.
There's a
very pretty
photo of the key art.
Yeah, I love it because what's unique, if you did notice originally, right, is that if you see the animated version of it, which looks even cooler, is that each section of the body represents one of the living lands in the game. So it's just incredibly well done from an artistic point of view. I saw like Diego and others really calling it out. Dan, like, this is amazing. So it's spread like all over, like people are sharing it everywhere. So I wonder, I hope the artist, whoever did it at Obsidian or wherever, gets some good credit for it, because it's amazing.
Very nice.
I'm really excited for this one. I love Obsidian games. Yeah, I love Obsidian games. This game looks clunky in a good way. Like, it kind of gives me Morrowind vibes in terms of like its world building and you know, putting player choice and fun decision making and stuff over maybe the most beautiful looking or polished combat. And I think that's a virtue in some cases, and it's certainly a virtue I would trust Obsidian to deliver on, I think. So I'm more excited about this game every time I've seen it, and so yeah, I want to play this one.
Yeah,
I do think that it looked better than the last time I saw it, and you see a game coming together behind the scenes. I am the one Ains was speaking about that wasn't enthused about the Outer Worlds. I didn't think that was a terribly well written game. So I think what Ains is describing is still like the pathways and network of choices and effects that Obsidian games traditionally have, which we are assuming goes into Avowed, because they certainly didn't talk much about that in the presentation. But I think overall, the impression you get from the presentation we got, at least for me, was discount Elder Scrolls, right? You heard Travis reference Morrowind. This looked like a slightly less imaginative, more clunky Elder Scrolls. And so my hope is that comes together a little bit more, and that you get some of that choice and characterization. I do like their Pillars of Eternity game series, which I believe this is in. It's in that universe.
It is tied to it. Yep.
And so that gives me some hope. I didn't love the Outer Worlds, but that's really the only Obsidian game that really didn't click for me. So I'm also looking forward to this, even though I think it's kind of hard.
Don't you also not like New Vegas?
I don't love New Vegas like everybody swoons about New Vegas, but I don't hate it.
Well, there went every other opinion out the door.
Yeah, dude. I love New Vegas, and Outer Worlds it speaks to my comedic thing, and I love that game. I also just like smaller RPGs. Like I love that Outer Worlds you can beat it like kind of quickly.
But like I like Pillars of Eternity. I enjoyed Tyranny. Obsidian has done some cool projects. I honestly think Avowed might be aimed a little bit bigger than I would like for them, but we'll see. I hope it's great.
Yeah.
It looked decidedly less piratey this time, so I enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, that's funny. I forgot about that whole what's up with the pirate thing.
So this one just says fall on the presentation. Again, we only got one actual release date from the 5 games, which is Hellblade. So Avowed just says fall. So I guess we'll see what that turns out to be. Dan, interest?
Yeah, I mean, it looks all right. I mean, I love the Obsidian games, so love New Vegas. I'd like the Outer Worlds. I like the Obsidian's humor and how they're able to mix it in. The reason I like, with their game choices in New Vegas, I mean, that kind of set a bar for me where it was, it felt like I have to earn these conversations. I have to earn, just the way they did it. And for a game that was basically put together in like, I think it was like 18 months or something like that. It was something ridiculous. It was
barely put together.
Yeah, barely.
World,
yeah, it was. No,
New Vegas.
Oh, Vegas.
Yes. Very buggy game, but very good.
Very buggy. But it was, it's probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Fallout entry. So
easily.
Yeah.
I like 3 more than New Vegas, but hey, it's fine.
Just because you like Liam Neeson, and
I like 3 a lot as well.
You like Revelations 21:6. That's really all this is about. We know. You know how you roll. We know how much you love Revelations. I don't know where this bit is going.
I don't know where you were going with that one.
No clue.
That's all I remember from the game. Revelations 21:6. That's the only quote from the Bible I know because of that game. It's literally it. Thanks, Liam.
All right, then we move on to ARA History Untold, also coming just fall. Basically the description of this game is: build a nation and lead your people throughout history to the pinnacles of human achievement as you explore new lands, develop arts and culture, conduct diplomacy, and go head to head with your rivals to prove you are the greatest ruler ever known. Obviously, I thought this showed really well. I am not an RTS guy nowadays. I don't play them. But I think from a showing perspective, the people, friends I have who are RTS fans are very excited about this one.
Now, to be clear, this isn't an RTS game. It's a 4X game. So I don't know why people would be reacting on an RTS basis. It's not real time. It's turn based. It's just simultaneous turn based.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So I do think that they did have a problem in this show, especially before it got to kind of the end state. I think the simultaneous turns is probably their big trick. It's one of the things Oxide is known for, is using more cores in your processors and doing funny things with your CPU that other people hadn't tried yet. So it appears that that's what they're using that power for in this particular context, is that simultaneous turns. But before they even describe that, I'm sitting here watching this presentation and going, I don't understand why I should care about your game over Civilization or any of the other 100 4X games that you can get on Steam right now. So I do think that it had a step back where it wasn't that impressive to me. And I wanted to really like this one. I love 4X. I love strategy games. But it took a while to get there. And I do think the simultaneous turns is their big trick. And I don't think it's an Xbox game. I think it's a PC Game Pass game more than anything.
It is a PC game. I believe
it is PC Game Pass.
Well, I knew it would be on PC. I don't think it has a console side, or at least they didn't show it. So I can't be excited for it on Xbox. So it's a PC game, and then it's competing with every other 4X game I have, which at this point in the history of video games is a lot. And so, I believe this is where I said in my tweets that Dan liked. I just realized how much I miss playing something like Alpha Centauri, and I wish it was giving me those vibes.
Oh man. So
yeah, I believe that they announced in the title card that it was not on Xbox, that it is a PC and PC Game Pass game. So that makes sense to me. I like these games. I hope this one's good. I kind of tuned out on this one because I was like, yeah, I'll just play it. I'll see if it's good. I'll feel it out. I kind of don't need to. I don't know. Just these are the sorts of games that I don't think demo well at all. You kind of just have to play the final product. But
it's all dependent on design and like how they do the math and what that game loop is that you can't sell in a trailer. So there've been people that take swings at this with like Humankind and other games that didn't work out as well for me, and I didn't enjoy them. And so I look at this and say, I'm like Travis. I'll play it. I'll give it a few turns. I'll give it a game or two, and I'll know whether I like it at that point.
Fair enough. So at the end of the trailer it says Steam and PC Game Pass. So I checked that while you guys were talking. All right, then we get Hellblade 2, which we all kind of said last week, I believe, that they better give us a release date. So they did, May 21st. So we're digital only and $50, and said to be similar in length to the first game, which I don't know about you guys, but was a surprise to me. Now, I want to be clear. I didn't expect Hellblade 2 to go open world, 30, 40-hour RPG scale, right? But I did expect the scope to expand to maybe like instead of an 8-hour game, maybe a 12-hour game or something, to have a little more depth to it than the original. So hearing $50, not that the price is a huge thing, but digital only and said to be similar length to the first, that was surprising to me. And I will say, at least on the surface, now I loved Hellblade 1, but on the surface, that's a little disappointing to hear for me.
I wasn't surprised by that, honestly. I think you either get that kind of increase in scope at the same level, or you get this kind of extremely heightened level of quality over the same scope as the first. And so I think you've seen that quality jump between 1 and 2. And so it seemed to me that was the most likely outcome, is that you'd have a game of similar size. In fact, when they were giving this presentation, because all this news came out after the presentation, I thought one of the things that Xbox has done badly with Hellblade 2 is that I think that they've overpromised, or at least set up a hype train that was not going to be met by what this product ultimately became. So to the extent people are disappointed by that announcement, I think that the way they've presented this game has done that. That this always looked like it should be a smallish game like Hellblade 1 with a heightened amount of quality. But I don't think people were expecting that by the time you get to the 4th show and you've gone through a musical number at the Game Awards and everything else. So I was also surprised. They said it would be about 8 to 10 hours. Now, I don't remember Hellblade taking me that long, but I did look at the time to beat, and it seems to be about that about that for most people.
It's similar.
So.
I mean, if you push through it quickly, you can do it in 6 to 7, I'd say. But yeah, it's not a long game. And like I said, I really enjoyed it. And to your point around, there could be a lot more quality there. There could be the actual what you're doing in the moment gameplay could be a lot more, have a lot more depth to it, I guess. But I think your point is very astute, which is the way they've hyped this game, the way they've talked about this game for years now, seems almost counter to what they're saying the end product will be. And that does not mean that the game has to be 30 hours. It doesn't mean it can't be a fantastic, spectacular game of the year, quality game. Not saying any of that, of course, but it just seemed a little counter to what they were promoting, at least feel-wise, well, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't think that's necessarily what they were saying with their words or what they were promoting expressly. It's the notion that it appears this many times. It's at one of the very early Xbox shows. Yeah. It's what you've told the people is why you bought Ninja Theory, right? I mean, at some level. And so I think people put certain weight on that. But in all honesty, if 2024 is the year where the video game industry decides that we can make kick-ass, shorter, smaller games of limited scope, and it's Prince of Persia and it's Hellblade 2, I'm all in. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Because I only need so many Valhallas in my life.
and the number's not very high.
Yeah, my response to the 8-hour announcement was a sense of deep relief, because my worry with this was that there was going to be a ton of bloat. And that it was going to be too long, considering what the combat can bring and how much I can really take of people whispering in my ears. I love the first Hellblade, but to me, it was the perfect length, because by the end, I was like stressed out enough and starting to feel like maybe the combat was just going to bore me a little bit. And so I think if this one makes that 8 hours way more varied and makes the combat more interesting and makes the story hit in the same way the first one did, I think 8 hours is the perfect length for this game. And I'm so glad that they've resisted the urge to bloat a game.
To Uncharted for it.
Yeah. Just to do something where like it really overstays its welcome, because a good story told in 8 hours hits way better than a good story told in 30. And I think that's why sometimes like a movie feels better when it's good than a TV show where you have to put in 10x the amount of time or whatever. And so there's pros and cons to it, but I just think, I think all the ways that this game is bigger and better are about refining the stuff it already did well, not necessarily making it longer. And I think that's great.
Yeah.
I will say I agree with the criticism that this was marketed terribly. And that is pretty common from the Xbox side of the house. They're not great at marketing their games sometimes. And you kind of just have to drown that out and just focus on whether the final product is going to be good or not. And I think it will be. And I'm so glad it's only 8 hours. I'm so relieved it's not a 20-hour game. Thank God. So,
yeah.
So not enough. The Bloat Goat game of the year.
Bloat Goat.
Nope.
Yep.
The opposite. Whatever the hell that is.
Dan, where were you on Hellblade 1? I forget.
I think it was fine. I mean, I liked it. I played it. I think the combat could have been a little bit better.
Sure.
And
a lot of it better. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't. That was probably my biggest critique of it. I don't know. If it's more of the same, I'll like this one too, I guess. It's I don't know. Everything I've seen so far has been mostly, it's not been a lot of gameplay. It's been mostly like the big cinematic scenes, which I enjoy for sure. I just hope it's not, half of the 8 to 10 hour experience where I'm just watching something. I want a lot of more interaction. It's been in production for a while, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's been in dev for a long time. So okay.
Played it too many times.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to talk about that one relatively soon, and then of course, Visions of Mana. So coming just summer is what they said at the end. So just a couple bullets on this one, because I'm not huge on the Mana series, but it says first mainline Mana game in over 15 years. And the story foundation for this one is every 4 years, alms, I guess it is, from around the world are chosen to travel to the Tree of Mana and rejuvenate the flow of mana power. A soul guard is also chosen to ensure the alms safe pilgrimage. Val is one such guard. When Val's childhood friend is selected to be an alm, he sets off on a journey across the world to accompany her on the pilgrimage.
So what I learned just now is that you can't just read mana synopsises. It's not good. But
no,
I love
you
the
see how it repeats itself like 3 times.
I love Secret of Mana. Like that was one of my formative games.
Nice.
And one of the things that keeps popping up when they show Visions of Mana is it keeps looking like a Secret of Mana remake. And I think it's because the main character looks so much like the main character in Secret of Mana, and they're clearly using like boss fights and enemy fights from that game series. Now it might be an homage to all of them, but I am super excited about this one. I'm super enthused about. Oh, I'm sorry.
You said an homage. I said a vision.
A vision, yes. I am super enthused about Microsoft and Square Enix continuing to kind of get closer together, because I think the more people that can play these games, the better chance Square Enix has of succeeding and staying independent and continuing to make the games I like them to make. So we'll see, but I'm excited about that. I'm excited that they made it into this presentation that was Microsoft focused. So I'm looking forward to that game. I think we knew it was summer. I can't remember exactly the last time we saw Visions of Mana. I think they said.
I think it was on Video Game Awards, I believe.
But I love the Mana series, and it's always kind of spoken to me at a kind of fundamental level with the elementals and the music and the Tree of Life and all this kind of good vibes for a JRPG rather than always hunting down God and whatnot. So Final Fantasy is the angsty sibling. Mana is the cute, joyful younger brother or sister. Okay. And I love the Mana series. So get excited, folks. This one's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I would just describe my relationship with the Mana series as fraught. I think it's weird. All the games have been, my experience with them has been like, well, that was weird. Playing a Mana game, you ever put the controller down and feel like it happened to you? Like you didn't play it? Like you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, well, that was.
Did you play Secret?
I did. Yeah, I think I beat it. I think I did beat that one. That's a weird game.
Secret is one of the best RPGs ever.
I may have played it late. I don't remember it having like a huge impact on me and my video game education. I will say this game looks
co-op RPGs.
This game looks great, and I'm definitely going to play it. I'm offended by the way the main character looks. It looks like the weekly AI generated Travis image, which is.
Can we get a Travis face on the Vision of Mana main character, please?
The Vision of Mana main character looks like an off-putting ginger Travis AI generated.
I don't know why I put my finger on my glasses like I was calling the Enterprise to ask for that.
Yeah, can we please Siri put Travis's face on the main character? This is how you treat your viewers, Hogue. They're just your slaves to carry out your will.
Hold on. Secret of Mana is not one of the best JRPGs.
His pals.
First of all, one of the is a great little bit of language, because the list can be as long as you like to make this work for you, but it is definitely one of the best JRPGs.
So if the list is 10,000 JRPGs long and Secret of Mana appears on it at all, it counts.
Correct.
Well, if that's the top 10,000, yeah.
That's legalese right there, guys. You see what you can't trust? And they say IGN's untrustworthy. At least our lists end.
Both can be true.
Hey, I don't need this. All right. I don't need this on my Sunday.
I don't need this in my life. By the way, this was the only game, which should be obvious, but just in case you're wondering, it's the only game of the presentation that is third party, right? So this is coming to PS4 and PS5. And PC. Of course, the interesting thing, it's coming to PS4, PS5, but not Xbox One. It's just Series X and S. So just calling that out in case you're still playing on Xbox One for some reason.
Square no doubt assumes that they're going to make 95% of their money on the PlayStation side of things on this. But it's good to see them trying to put it on Xbox as well.
Yeah, it's good to see it here. It's good to see
Did you guys
Dan, this is your game of the year, right?
Yeah, right on.
During the Vidoc
in my life. So
during the Vidoc, did you guys see the guy's face when he says he was speaking in Japanese? He says, this is our first time putting a Mana game on Xbox. And he, like, it to me, just not knowing his language, but focusing on his expressions, he looked nervous and confused when he said that line. He was like, this is our first time putting on Xbox. He goes like, Like, what are we doing?
Oh my god, that's good.
I think it'll be good. I really like the Mana series. So
yeah.
Just to let people know, I do like video games.
Well, I mean, here and there. We'll get to ESO in a second, of course, but Developer Direct. What do you think of the format of the show? What do you think of how it kind of came across?
I adore the format of the show. I want all directs to have this direct conversations with the developers. The person that was speaking for Obsidian scares me and intimidates me a little bit. I mean, like, I really enjoy getting a vibe of these studios a little bit when they talk about these things. So I think it's the perfect format. I think Microsoft has a big winner on its hands here. I vastly prefer it to the YouTube trailers until you die format.
Yes, me too. Me too. It's feels much more real and personable than just say, here's our next trailer. It's like, I could be on YouTube watching all these trailers. Like, I don't need you to tell me there's a trailer.
I think this is the best showcase format we've seen so far. It's straight to the point. It's a little cutesy. It reveals release dates as you go, or release windows. I think last year was probably a stronger version of this format overall, just because there were more surprises and more kind of immediacy, and it was a little bit newer and fresher. But I really, really enjoyed the format. I have a theory to Hoag's point about getting a vibe of the studio. I think games are gonna, and this is a completely joke, by the way, for YouTubers, they're gonna call me out on this. I think you can tell if a game is gonna slap if they do a developer interview, and while they're interviewing the person, the studio is dark behind them, like the lights are off, because there's a very clear choice when they're filming Vidocs. Either they go lights on and the backgrounds are all bright and there's people at work and stuff, or they choose parts of the studio that have no one working and they record with a light on the developer with a completely dark background. Just a little tidbit out there. We can see if you guys think I'm right or wrong. But
that is, every working game studio I've ever been in is darker than anything you've ever seen in an office complex.
Yep. And I don't know why. I just have this feeling of memories of whenever I go into a really bright studio, the game is in trouble. I don't know why. It's like everybody's at their desk frantically working on it. And when the lights are off and there's a little bit of space, you're like, all right, they're in control. They know the game is safe or something like that. I don't know. I love that. Probably wrong, but yeah.
I do think it's great to get a little notion of some of the people that work at these places and who these studios put up to talk. You get which roles are they satisfied with talking for these things? You saw the narrative director was talking for Indiana Jones. You saw different people in different roles talking for different games. I really like that. But I've said that before when E3 went to mostly trailers, that I missed kind of that interaction, and people didn't want to do that because it was a risk that the game would fall apart or things like we saw towards the end of that sequence of E3. So you do it on tape, you do it on direct. I love this. I wish I loved the games they showed a little bit more, but I love this format. 100%.
I mean, when you were over there, you were doing this, and then Travis was moving his hair at the same time on the other side. It looked like you were rubbing Travis's head. I don't know why. That's kind of
funny. We can make that look.
Yeah, it was over here.
We gotta wear the same color, Hogan.
Yeah, there it was. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Travis is Hogan's pal.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Oh man.
He captured me in a pal sphere.
I think they kind of nailed the format. I think I enjoy that kind of thing. Shout out to that Dan guy that just kind of walked in the background of the I think it was the ARA one, where he just grabbed the Coke and just walked in as he was filming. And he's like, hey,
you guys see Todd Howard steal the idol head? That was
pretty
yeah. Oh man. But yeah, it was great. I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with just the quick trailers too. As long as we don't get a bunch of, I don't know what the hell they are, just influencers, getting on there and talking nonsense. I don't need
the Twitch presentations.
Oh God, no, none of that.
Yeah,
that's the worst. So this one was, I think, probably my favorite. As far as
I would rather hear from developers than influencers, like 100 out of 100 times, 110 out of 100 times.
I don't even know if influencers would disagree with you, given that choice. I think people are just often afraid of giving the developers the mic, and there's cause for that. PR companies exist for a reason, because sometimes not having a go-between or a handler does not go well. It can ruin your game, depending on what the developers say or what they show that isn't ready. So.
That's why this wasn't live.
Yeah, that's why taping
it's still a risk. It's still a risk. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. Let's catch up on super chats based on the conversation on the developer direct.
Yes, Coffee Gamer 50s with the $10 Canadian. Thank you very much. Sai, shame on you for differing opinion on The Last of Us 2. It's a masterpiece. But
I am shamed.
You should be. Because you praised the Ubisoft game Prince of Persia, I'll let it slide. Great show, gents. Happy Sunday. Thank you, Coffee Gamer.
Yeah, thank you, Coffee Gamer. He's always a big fan of SG, always hanging out with us. So thank you for that. And yes, we have joked about Last of Us 2 before. He adores it. Obviously, a lot of people do. Perfectly fine.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Thank you, brother.
Fine. How dare you?
Followed up with another one.
Oh, another $5 Canadian from Coffee Gamer. Not an Indiana Jones fan. Don't kill me. But it looks like they are going all in. The game looked fantastic. Troy Baker, A+ on the voice acting. Right.
I think
I'm not the biggest Troy Baker fan, but I thought he nailed it.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, we joke about Troy Baker here, and he's in everything. But he did sound like a young indie. I mean, he did a pretty good job.
He did a good job.
I'll give him that much.
And you don't have to be an Indiana Jones fan, by the way. I have a friend who really doesn't like Indiana Jones, and that's because he's an archaeologist.
Oh. Wow.
And I imagine that being your job.
I thought you were going somewhere else with that.
Imagine if you were an archaeologist, how much you wouldn't like Indiana Jones. What a high bar that sets for you, dude. You got to be a tenured professor and know how to use a whip. That's just too many things.
I thought you were going to say he was like a church fixture that was in charge of ancient relics. They don't get anything right.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, Indy keeps stealing them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Coffee Gamer, thank you so much. We got Pony Up in the house.
Pony Up with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Pony Up. Misinformation is bad English. You can misinform someone, but disinformation is the correct term for communicating a lie or improper set of facts. All right.
Well, I think the way it's understood right now, and of course, language is descriptive and not prescriptive, is that disinformation is a more active, intentional lying to accomplish some end that the speaker is putting forth. Misinformation is a mistake. And is putting forth information that the speaker thinks is right, or maybe doesn't think is right, but is putting it out there and is not a reflection of reality. So I do think misinformation and disinformation both have their place.
Is this in reference to the?
I think this is in reference to when I said misinformation at the very start of the show, relating to the Halo rumors that spread this week.
Got it. Yeah.
Man, if you want to do a grammar podcast, we can do it. I love it.
I would love to do a grammar
Bitcast, you learned something. Here,
please do a grammar podcast. I will feature. I have
we'll call it descriptive and not prescriptive. It'll be great.
We'll call it Hogan Travis do a podcast with 0 viewers. Yeah.
Pony Up, thank you for the super chat. Pony Up, he followed up with another one.
Another one. COD Cyberpunk 2077 proved first person can be cinematic.
Oh, they proved the opposite.
I don't think that. I mean, I think maybe Cyberpunk does, but I think there's plenty of examples of where first person can be cinematic, and I think if you just look at that studio's previous works, Wolfenstein proves it can be.
No, I mean even Machine Games going out there with their showing was we're going to pull away for third person. Because we know in our hearts that that's where the cinematic nature of a game or story lies.
I don't think that's true because they do that with Wolfenstein 2, and it works really well. The switching between perspectives, because that's how cutscenes work.
That is how cutscenes work.
Yeah. So it looks good to me.
I love you guys. I do think first person can be cinematic. I don't know. Like I said, well, we're not going to stay on it, but yes. Pony Up, thank you for the super chats. Debbie W in the house.
Debbie W with the $10 super chat. What am I getting from this? Or what I'm getting from this is I clearly need to go back to Wolfenstein. You should.
Yes.
Yes. I remember getting 3D on a 3.5-inch floppy disk from my father 30 years ago. Beat the game, lost track of it after that. You don't have to go that far back.
We're not talking about that one.
No.
I want to. I love Wolfenstein 3D. Legendary game.
I played that game in Xbox Arcade, and I cannot believe that somebody actually played games on a floppy disk. That is insane.
Dude, whoa. That's a 3.5-inch floppy. That's advanced. That's not a 5 1/4 floppy. All right, that came before.
I don't know what you're saying, but my instinct is to say that's what she said and leave it at that.
Fair enough. Yes. No. Yeah. But no, I joked in my Prince of Persia review actually that back when computers were rare in schools when I was younger, when the three of us were younger, that we would install games that we could find, and installing Prince of Persia, the original, was one of those games. But Wolfenstein 3D was probably the most popular game that we would install on the school PCs so we could play it when no one was looking. Yeah, good times. Travis is I don't know any of that, but
the new Prince of Persia really does kind of evoke certain feelings of the Prince of Persia sequel, Prince of Persia 2 from back in time,
from way back then. Yep.
If you remember that game, the newest one is very evocative of that feeling.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you, Debbie. It's good to hear from you. All right. So the next thing right after the developer direct is we get the ESO announcement for their next expansion this year. So it's called Gold Road. It releases June 3rd for PC, June 18th on console. That's Xbox and PlayStation, of course. It featured in Gold Road are Westweld and the city of Skingrad from Oblivion. There's a new scribing system and a new Daedric prince appearing for the first time in Elder Scrolls named, I think that's Athelia. And of course, I just want to let people know that are watching that you can pre-order this. Of course, there are certain pre-order bonuses, but one of the bonuses, for whatever reason, the pup pet that you can only get if you pre-order before March 18th. This is specifically called out. So,
which game is this?
Elder Scrolls Online, ESO.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah,
I figured I'd let you touch on this.
I didn't watch that showcase.
Yeah,
damn it.
Yes, I can touch on it. ESO is fantastic. I had said that I thought that their yearly expansion would be in about May, so June is about right on time for them. And like the other expansions that they've done, they do appear to have added new systems that will go across the entire game. In what I really like about when they add things like the scrying system that they did before. So I'm looking forward to this one. Doesn't appear to have a card game in it, but that's okay. They can't all be card games, folks. And I'm looking forward to another sprint through Elder Scrolls Online. And the way this cadence works is I tend to pop in when they do the yearly expansions. So I think it'll be great.
Play the card game and then back out.
Well, the card game, I did play the card game. Last year was not a card game either. But I know you can, like I said, it can't be a card game every year. But I think that it's well worth your time. Elder Scrolls Online is an excellent game that only got better after they kind of flattened some of the geography and level gates that they had. And if you like anything at the Elder Scrolls, ZeniMax Online, which, disclaimer, my brother works at and makes Elder Scrolls Online, appears to have been given more leeway just based on the inclusion of a new Daedric prince than they have in the past. So they appear to be adding more lore than they used to have the rights to do within the Elder Scrolls environment. So nice. I think there's a lot to be excited about in ESO.
Fantastic.
I am a regular ESO player, and I'm very excited for whatever it is that they showed, but I forgot to watch it, and I'm going to watch it while I grind Palworld right after this, because don't tell me. Nobody spoil it. I haven't seen it, but I'm definitely gonna watch it now. Nice to see you, Destin.
Yeah, Destin swinging by. Good to see you, man.
Come to my wedding. Stop being the worst. God, this guy.
Stop being the worst. So then we also get Diablo 4 actual live stream this week on Season of the Construct, which is launching 2 days. January 23rd, as we record this, 1 p.m. Eastern officially is when the server.
Man, I got to move some stuff out of my bags.
Yeah, you better get moving. You do get an extra stash tab in this upgrade. I saw this update.
It's a new character, right? So you don't really need to.
No, the way it works is that So you get one season to move the stuff. So I'm talking about my Season of Blood character.
Oh, yes.
This is too
Gotcha.
inside the weeds here, but I have to go and check in with him and move all the stuff and crystals and things I want out of his bags.
See, I knew it.
It does work, actually.
Every time I see you do this now, I'm just going to go.
I should have been doing this a long time.
No doubt.
Come on, Diablo 4, a pet robot. This is great. Zoltan Cool.
Yeah, Zoltan Cool's back. Gate Hall is the new area that is under the main city of Kyrgyzstan. And then you get is it Seneschal companion? Seneschal. Okay. Seneschal. That you'll have your own a new menu to upgrade that companion over time. So it looks interesting for sure.
I can talk about this one.
Go for
Robots and traps. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. So I actually covered this before the announcement and got to interview the team at Diablo again about the season and kind of what's cool about it and what's interesting about it. So I've got a lot of answers. Not all of it made it into the article, by the way. So I know some stuff and can talk about it. There's no embargo anymore. There's some stuff I didn't write about. But yeah,
embargo your mind.
No, they didn't embargo my mind.
I think they should, just for the record.
There should be an embargo on many people's minds, mine certainly included. This is really cool. I think they're doing a lot of really interesting stuff. The first thing is that if you play a mouse and keyboard, I think the biggest quality of life improvement is they're adding WASD support, as I insist on calling it, which is great because in this season where it's all about traps and movement and kind of staying out of certain pockets of the map, I think having complete control of your character is super important. And the main power grind is all about leveling up your spider friend, which the devs internally call Buddy. But it is a Seneschal construct as its official in-universe name. But it's the entire power grind this season is all about leveling up Buddy and customizing Buddy so that he can basically complement your play style. He can be like a ranged kind of DPS bot. It can be a melee tank so that if you're like a ranged user, you can kind of stay in the back and use stuff like that. And does a bunch of other stuff. And then there's 12 different stones, I believe. There's
I have it here. Hold on. Go ahead.
Is it 8 or is it 8? I wrote the article. I should know this. But yeah, there's basically a main function stone that determines its main behavior traits, and then a bunch of other governing stone, and then a bunch of focusing stones that tuning stones. Damn it, I'm so close. Tuning stones that are all basically like they customize and tweak that base governing kind of ability. So you can get it to do all sorts of different fancy stuff, which they talked about and showed off in the early preview. But yeah, this is the sort of thing that I think is a real nice kick in the pants that'll probably get me back because I didn't play much of Season of Blood, and I think I probably will hop into this one. Hoag's sad I wasn't a vampire. But what's interesting. Season of the Blood is great, and actually, I think impressively, they've gotten better every season. I would say the first season of the Zomface was certainly the weakest. Season of the Blood was more interesting, and Season of the Construct looks more interesting still. I also think that the new bad guy Malpheus is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's a new major boss.
It's a new major boss, and they described him as more of a kind of like a stooge of hell who's gotten lucky and is kind of trying to make a play. They are a formless demon, which means they actually don't have a physical body, and so they've taken over Zoltan Cool's construct to basically make it their own. And so you're fighting an interesting like bodiless entity that is currently appearing. And I asked about this in the interview. Is the reason you didn't give him a body so that he can be the narrator as you're going through the vault and like taunt you? And they were like, yeah, that's exactly why. And so it's sort of like a game show. It kind of reminds me of what's the game show top down shooter?
Smash TV.
Smash TV. Kind of reminds me of Smash TV, but
Classic.
in Diablo, where you have like a demon taunting you as you're going through levels and trying to get better loot. And then there's also this interesting interplay where you get more rewarded based on the amount of traps you don't get hit by. So you have like levels of protection, and every trap you get hit by tears off a layer of it, and then you spend those layers later to unlock chests. And so if you don't have many left, you can't unlock all the chests. And so there's also like this attribute of like skill play and getting around traps and like not getting caught in the crossfire and then getting rewarded for that. So it does a lot of really cool, interesting stuff. And I think the quality of life improvements on top of all of that are going to knock this out of the park. And I continue to be as a live service that, you know, live service is my beat. I continue to be so impressed by how well Diablo is doing live service as their first stab at this. I mean, they're crushing it. It's very good.
Yeah, Diablo 4 really is good.
It looks really good. Yeah. So you got the vaults. You got a new mode called Gauntlet, which is like leaderboards basically on running through these vaults. As Travis said, there's a bunch of quality of life updates. So it looks like I went to the site, Travis. It looks like there's 12 governing stones. And then there's a whole ton of tuning stones, including ones they say that they're not describing that you can find that are super rare, right? With like super powerful abilities. So
yeah, and so you get one governing stone equipped at a time, and then I think it's 6 to 8 tuning stones around that, and so you can kind of customize beyond that. But they should
they build your own vampire powers circle, but you don't know what I'm talking about. That's fine.
No, I do. Yeah. I've kept up with Diablo even while not playing it for work and also just because I like the game, and I plan on continuing to cover it. But yeah, like I said, they've learned and taken feedback every season. I think they're just getting better, and this one looks like it's going to be the best one yet. So
yeah, no, it seems awesome, and
how dare you,
with the stones, all the stuff that they've built in to this season, as described, sounds like the reason why they're not doing the re-itemization until season 4. So I'm looking forward to the next 2 seasons a lot because I think Diablo 4 is fantastic and I love playing it. So
yeah,
games.
On that note, we've got a Thomas Hogue sighting, my friends.
We do. Whoa, Dad is in the house.
Here.
Father.
Yeah. He showed up. With the 999, thank you, Papa Hogue. With all of us out here, a favorite of mine is still Oblivion, the first open world game I ever played. Changed my view of video games once again. I hated closed doors, linear games. All we had in 1982. I was 7, so
I wasn't even a seedling in my father's sack.
All right.
You know, there are better ways to phrase that.
I don't know of them. You'll need to tell me.
You might have hit the one on the head. Yeah, that was about it. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Dad. I know you love Oblivion. I know you didn't play Morrowind or the games before that, so I appreciate it, and thank you for the super chat. You are awesome. I hope you're having a great time in Florida and not here in the dire cold of Michigan.
Nice. Enjoy Florida, Papa Hogue, and just in case you're interested, Morrowind is better than Oblivion.
So, I knew that was coming.
He must have played Morrowind, but I get why people love Oblivion. I love Oblivion, man. I'm not gonna hate a man for saying he loves Oblivion.
I don't believe he did play Morrowind because Oblivion was the first that I remember coming to the consoles at the start. Right, Morrowind had like a translation afterwards.
Correct.
Yep. So my dad's always loved consoles. And so I think he got excited about Oblivion coming to the Xbox. Is that the 360?
Xbox 360? Yeah, 2006. I mean, that game was, when it launched on the 360, it was spectacular, no doubt. Cool.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Papa Hogue. Thanks for coming by. All right. Papa Hogue. All right.
Yeah, imagine having so much support from your father that he watches your live streams. That's crazy, dude. That's like whatever the opposite of stepping out for a pack of cigarettes is. That's crazy.
Stepping in for a podcast.
Dude, crazy. That's how wholesome.
Before we get to the questions, I'll quickly touch on this just because it was a live stream this week, and I'm sure we have listeners who are curious, but I know you guys don't play, so I'll be quick about it. So there was the first live stream of the year from Team at 343 about Halo. A lot of big changes coming over on that side of the house as well, which is kind of expected given the new studio head. So if you weren't familiar ahead of time, the new studio head was the guy who was in charge of kind of the revamp aspects of the revamp of Master Chief Collection. And so what you're seeing is that you're seeing a lot of that, and that was a big success, by the way. So you're seeing a lot of that start to come over to Infinite. So they are shifting from the seasonal approach to what they call more faster operations. So the new operation launches January 30th, so 9 days from today. And that will replace seasons going forward, but there will be a new operation nearly every month. So every 4 to 6 weeks, there'll be a new 20-tier battle pass that's free, new changes, maps, armor, all that stuff. The first one on January 30th is Spirit of Fire, which is relates to the Halo Wars series. You get a new Mark IV armor core, and they're bringing in the Combat Evolved assault rifle model as well, along with other stuff. They also announced that their new networking model is coming to the entire game soon. If you don't know, they've been testing a new networking model to improve the online play, and new anti-cheat as well. And then they announced the full roadmap for Halo Championship Series Season 3 or Year 3, which is this year, including a Halo Major in London, which is awesome. What? So I wish I could go to that. I have too many trips planned already this year. But yeah, very, very cool. So you can see the full roadmap, obviously, in the HCS update. There's a bunch of other things as well. Like I said, I won't stay on this too long. But pretty exciting times if you're an Infinite fan. And they did formally, for the first time, announced that they have new teams and are hiring extra people. They're building out 343 larger and beginning work, which we already knew if you listen to us, beginning work on the next generation of Halo, the new Halo games.
So they're working on a new game, right? Which is why they're paring down their live service stuff, was what it sounded like the announcement. They're moving teams around to work on their new project.
A little bit, yeah. There's still an awful lot. Like I didn't touch on Forge. There's a whole lot of other stuff in the live stream. It's a really good stream of new things coming, but it's pretty clear that more and more of the focus will start to turn to new Halo. Yeah.
Well, and that's the positive way of taking that news, as you described it, Ains, right? But like getting rid of seasons is going to work as long as it works and won't work when it doesn't, right? Like I assume that the fear is that could fall apart. Like they want to do it every 6 weeks. They want to put out these things, but we might be looking at this in a year and be concerned about where Halo went. I don't want to be the pessimist. I'm an optimistic guy, but we don't really know what this looks like until it's been in operation for a while, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. Not to say.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, not to say that this is the wrong choice. I think it might be, but I think the plan would have been very different if Halo's live service would have met all of the promises that it promised at the outset of the game. Right. And I think this is sort of them maybe making the right move to like pare it down and focus on other stuff, but an unfortunate kind of conclusion to what I thought was it could have been promising. I mean, if they had taken the Diablo playbook and done all of the moves that they did and kept that thing going, I think Halo Infinite could have been the Halo game in the foreseeable future, like they had originally planned. And it sucks that Halo Infinite's campaign will now always feel kind of incomplete because we didn't get to see the story continue through that. It's just kind of bums me out. It's such a good game. But
I'm with you. I completely agree on everything you guys just said. It's pretty clear that we're not going to get the, if you finished Halo Infinite, it ends on a very big kind of next thing, right? Kind of like Diablo IV in a way, to your point. And we're not going to see that in Infinite. We'll probably see that in whatever the next Halo game is. Now that also,
if they don't on it with a line.
Sorry.
Also, how do you make a Halo game after you've named your game Halo Infinite? You know what I mean? Like, where do you go from there? Halo even more Infinite,
Where?
you know?
Well, I think that I've talked a lot about this, so you can find it in other content, but a lot of this is due to the shift to Unreal 5 and what's going on behind the scenes in the studio, including some of the stuff to do with Tatanka and some other things. So yeah, there's a lot going on behind the scenes there, but I think that generally speaking, they do have a lot of meaningful things coming this year. Now, what Halo Infinite support looks like 2025 and beyond, I guess we'll see, right? That's the big question. The good news here is they did show the next 3 operations. So Operation, the one launches, Spirit of Fire launches January 30th. They've already shown the next 2. So they're clearly mapped out through, Aprilish, May.
What's the deal with Unreal Engine 5? Is it just a recruiting problem that it's harder to recruit when you built your own engine? Because they put a whole lot of resources and time into that engine, and it runs great. So is it hard to develop on? Do you know?
Yeah, all I know, I mean, I've talked to some people about this, so all I know is that Slip Space, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. The biggest problem they had is Slip Space is a fantastic engine and it's very malleable. However, it includes a lot of kind of custom coding, right? And a lot of that custom coding is left over from the Blam engine, which is Bungie's old Halo engine, right? It's just been updated and updated and updated for years. Because of the way
use on Destiny, by the way.
I mean, it's been around forever. Because of the way they were hiring staff to work on not only Halo, but just the way Microsoft does contracted work, there's a maximum amount of time a contract can be at Microsoft for 18 months. It's just their policy across the company, right? So what you had is you had people coming in, taking several months to even learn how to code on this engine, right? Because it's a custom engine. And then by the time they built that knowledge base, they were out the door. So then you're constantly having to retrain and reteach people how to code on this. And that you can't efficiently code on a massive video game that way, right? That's why you had some of the delays. Agreed. Hard agree.
Well, that's hire people. That's crazy.
Yeah. So this is why I've ranted before around if Halo is one of your flagship IPs, to your point, why are you not just building out a much larger full-time studio? Regardless, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but that's why the apparent shift to Unreal 5 is because, to your point, Unreal is a standardized engine, right? There's resources all over the world who work on a daily basis. Much easier to gather talent in and out who know what they're doing in Unreal 5. The biggest questions from the past have always been that they've tested Unreal before. They've tested Unreal for a very long time for Halo, and it's never worked. You've never been able to recreate the physics and the feel of what Halo does. And so I guess someone has convinced them that they can do this now with Unreal 5. So we'll see. There's a big question in kind of the hardcore behind the scenes Halo community of, will the next Halo really feel like Halo? So we'll see.
God, dude, that's dangerous. I mean,
yes.
Getting rid of some of the stuff Blam does. I mean, just like what I have understood by working with Bungie, which, I've covered their studio for years. They still have parts of the Blam engine incorporated into their current engine because there's certain things that they just can't replicate, like the way grenades bounce and some of the physics.
Exactly.
There's like some magic in the code there that is so valuable. I'm honestly afraid of what Halo is going to feel like in Unreal. How or if you can really even recreate that, but that's crazy, man. But
it's scary times. And remember that Unreal has traditionally too not been good with vehicles, and a large part of Halo play is vehicle play. Always has been since the first one. And so if you don't know this one little gaming tidbit, which I always found fascinating, Days Gone, you famously ride a motorcycle, right? Unreal Engine does not have motorcycles. So what the devs at Bend had to do is take a car and fold it in half in the engine and try and make it feel like a motorcycle in Days Gone.
They did a good job. I think it feels
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, they generally did a pretty good job. But, I mean, you can imagine the time of coding and development that would take.
Wow.
So, we'll see. 5 is apparently a lot more flexible than 4 was, and obviously 5 will continue to get better over time. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But that's also I'm not gonna put 2 and 2 together for everyone. But you saw these rumors this week about Halo's Battle Royale being canceled and Tatanka being canceled. It's not. That's just it's part of this internal shift to Unreal. And if you've been paying attention to the kind of conversations some of us have had, including Schreier, that was already kind of known. So it's kind of weird that it popped up this week as being canceled. It's just, that's not true.
Well, we don't know if it's canceled, right? There's not been any confirmation. It could have been as part of this Unreal Switch and all the changing that they're doing that there isn't going to be one. But it was also a mode that was never confirmed. So you kind of can't.
We don't have confirmation it exists, do we?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Like, is it canceled if we never even knew or promised it was coming? So
correct. But yeah, trust me, still being worked on.
Hilarious.
I could say that. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and why did I think we had a super chat? I could have sworn. Did I miss one?
I don't think so.
You just did.
Okay, all right. Just Dad. Okay, fair enough.
All
right. So we have not too many. We have several questions left from last week. So last week, if you missed us, we were doing the community questions for the panel from over the holidays. We have a few left we didn't get to because we kind of ran long last week, and Travis had a commitment. So we are gonna finish these up now. And I was trying to see exactly where we left off. I think it's this one. If I already asked this last week, remind me. But it is for all of us, by the way. If you had to pick a creative hobby and one that you don't already do, what would it be? For instance, producing music, playing an instrument, making sculptures, drawing. Which would it be and why?
Oof.
Oh, I'd write.
It's a good question.
I'd write fiction.
Write fiction? Cool.
I already kind of do all the hobbies that I have an interest in. I write creatively and do comedy, and those were the things I always wanted to do. If I had like the time and bandwidth and stuff like that, I would want to do like I've always wanted to do like maybe I played the piano in high school and college, so maybe more of that. Maybe write like comedy songs or something like that. Work that into comedy somehow. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be something that I would have done that I just don't have time for anymore. You know, I used to play guitar. I used to paint Warhammer 40K miniatures. You know, and I wish I could get back. I can't
imagine you doing that. That's crazy.
I have so many. I have armies downstairs, but my hands are so shaky these days. I can't paint anymore.
Is this a Dan nerd reveal? Have we talked about this before? I didn't know you were a Warhammer. Yeah. Like that's deep, huge. Dude. You're in deep if you're painting Warhammer
40K.
Figures.
I had 40K and I had Blood Bowl figures. I had a couple teams we used to play all the time. Yeah, man. Love that stuff.
You're a real nerd.
Super nerd.
Wow.
Maybe
we're all nerds here.
Yeah. Maybe I would do something with cooking where I could like really get into it and just try out like, you know, different stuff. And, you know, not like, you know, I'm going to smoke this whiskey or, you know, with, you know, I'm not going to go crazy. I just want to be able to like create some really, really good dishes that are super easy, like write a cookbook. That was always been my thing. Like I would call it "What the hell is tarragon?" because, you know, nobody knows what that stuff is. I mean, people need to just, you know, have basic ingredients and you can make good stuff with, you know, without having to go buy a $50 mushroom and, you know, for one dish. You know, it drives me crazy. I see it all the time. You get on a recipe site and you're like, nobody has that like on hand. Like nobody has this crap. So that might be mine, I think.
Okay. For me, mine's more similar to Travis. So I think I've mentioned before, Travis obviously should have known ahead of time my father was a pianist. You know, he's supposed to know my family history. But I grew up playing music and or playing piano. And yeah, if I had time, and I may do when I retire eventually, hopefully, is write music and play piano. Yep. So it takes a lot of time.
I would not have guessed that for you.
Love it. Yeah, always have. Hogue? I used to write music years ago. Used to.
I would love if Hogue was just like, I want to use my extensive gun collection to just that'd be so cool if he got to learn something
expert
crazy
trap
about
shooting.
Yeah, he's just like, bro, hunting. Go.
All right.
No, I've wanted to get into writing more. I've written some articles in various places. I like words and language, and I of course love storytelling. And so I've thought about writing in the past, but generally speaking, running a law firm and a YouTube channel and appearing on places like the Bitcast has filled up my days.
Yeah.
Yep. For all of us in that vein, I guess, is what is your favorite and least favorite genre of music?
Jeez, man.
I'll make this simple by giving the weirdest answer ever, but I don't like a lot of music that has people talking or singing in it. All my favorite songs I like classical music. Yeah. I like, if there's somebody talking about like a breakup or whatever, I don't really like it. The exception to that rule is I grew up in Oakland I grew up in Oakland in the 90s, and I really like I like rap a lot. I like
classic R&B.
Just anything with that I don't know why that music speaks to me a lot, but hip hop and rap I mess with, and everything else I just, it's all everything they made after 1860s just so blase.
Mine's pretty easy. My favorite is metal. I'm a big metal head. I think anyone who knows me knows that. Least favorite is got to be like country, bluegrass, that kind of stuff. Like, just I'm good.
Wow.
Let's see. My favorite is something like country. Alternative. Generally speaking.
Really really quickly, I want to highlight a comment because you're talking, but you said that you wanted to write more, and we have a commenter who said, "Yeah, Hogue, you should write," and then he offers that you should become a technical writer. Like, he doesn't want you to write fiction or anything creative. He's like, write a book where you explain things to people, and I'm like, I don't think that's what he was talking about. Unless you write instruction manuals, bro. I don't know why that made me laugh.
Informing people is virtual legality. It's what it's all about. But yeah, no, I want to world build a little bit and create some stuff.
Fiction. Yeah,
I can see that as a sci-fi fan, especially. Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite is probably alternative, which is a too broad category. So I think mostly what people would say I like is something along the lines of like emo ballads. I like secondhand.
Exactly
serenade.
What everybody was thinking. Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That all when I hear alternative,
emo ballads. I did not expect this answer, Hogue. Go on.
I think I've heard it described as whiny guys, but I tend to like Secondhand Serenade and Yellow Card and that kind of thing. My least favorite is probably something like, I don't know, reggae or pop reggae, things with weird beats. I tend to not like. When I used Pandora a lot back in the day, what I really like is piano music, so ballady type music with a hard drum line. So I really like percussive ballads.
Wow.
Nice.
Yes, Dashboard Confessional. Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly, chat.
I was not expecting that.
No, I love it. I love it. That's why I love these questions. It's great. It's
crazy. Also, who doesn't like reggae? That is a weird answer.
Yeah, who doesn't like reggae? What are you doing over there?
Me either. Yeah. Dude, anything auto-tuned. So basically anything, all this new
Wait, crap. Is your favorite or least favorite?
Least favorite.
Oh, thank God.
I really thought
that was like, no. I've got to kick Dan off the show. What am I going to do?
No, let's just throw that in the trash.
His favorite is
funny
Rebecca
because
Black.
I've seen all these videos where like you see these people singing and then you actually hear, oh my God, they can't even sing. It's terrible. This whole new way.
I'm always impressed by technology when I see those, but
oh my God, it's so bad. And I don't know.
Some of those
kind of like a
singers are good. T-Pain, great guy.
No,
he's in GTA 6.
No.
Are you name dropping T-Pain?
T-Pain's cool. T-Pain has a lot of auto-tune songs, but he can actually sing, and he's in GTA 6.
No, he cannot. He cannot sing. He was on The Masked Singer. He's not good. He's not good. I'm just telling you, man. Can
I offer a resolution for the house that we not determine somebody's singing ability by their presence on The Masked Singer?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think that's a pretty bad
idea. Rudy Giuliani was on The Masked Singer. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he for sure was. It was crazy. It was unhinged. Yeah.
No. Anything. Okay, so anything auto-tuned out the door. I'm more of a classic rock, like Southern rock. Like I'm a huge Black Crowes fan. Like I met Chris Robinson and like got on the tour bus and smoked some stuff. Man, that was some good stuff. It was a good time. That was like the highlight of my, meeting somebody like on my list of people.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm a huge Black Crowes fan. Chris Robinson Brotherhood, Flying Burrito Brothers, just stuff like that. Kind of,
Flying Burrito Brothers.
Yeah, you never heard of Flying Burrito Brothers?
I've never heard of them, Dan. No.
You should look them up. They're
all
good.
three of us haven't heard, so that was pretty. I'm glad that I'm not super left out on this one.
mostly classic rock. It's just stuff I listened to growing up. And then there's always that one time, like sometimes I'm driving around with Cirrus and I put on the 80s channel.
Yeah,
and I
of
rock
course.
out to some flock of seagulls when nobody else is in the car.
Hell yeah,
Don't even care. I'll yell it
No,
out the window.
I'll do it.
Yep, that's me.
All right, that's good. That's good. Some answers I didn't expect there.
Mariana's Trench, standards.
Nope. That's not a
What?
band, is it?
That's a band, yes.
I don't think they were first though. I don't think they were first to that name.
All right, let's see here. This one's for me, Ains. How good are you at Halo? Do you reach the highest rank? I want to know if I can still top 1% good when I'm 40. So I'm in my mid 40s. I'm pretty good at Halo, but when you start talking about highest rank and top 1%, I am absolutely not in the 1% of Halo players. I'm probably not in the top 10% of Halo. There are some ridiculously good Halo players. Yes, you can still compete at this old age. You're calling me, I think. But to be top, like high level Onyx is really, really tough. And more importantly, in Halo, it's a team game. So a lot of people like Call of Duty, that type of game, you can kind of really Twitch skill your way to the top as a single player. Can't do that in Halo. Some of the best players in the world aren't even on pro teams because they can't team play properly. Best individually skilled players. So
what Halo game were you the highest ranked at though, like in your prime?
2?
Honestly, I would probably say Infinite right now. Only because only because I take it so seriously. If it wasn't that, it would be CE or 2 back when I used to play tournaments. But I've played so much Infinite now. Although I'm old.
Yeah, I don't know if that.
Funny, when I was playing 2, I was playing only with British people because I was playing in the middle of my school day.
That's funny.
Oh yeah, they'll be on at night. Yeah,
I played. I was rank 50 in Halo 2, which I still am like.
Yes,
dude, that was like I worked so freaking hard for that, but I now have a medical condition where I'm increasingly losing feeling in my fingers. So my skill is in the last like 2 years has declined quite a lot. I still keep it fit because I play so much, but like I don't think I'll ever be there. Not being able to feel your fingers is kind of a big deal.
Damn, dude.
I suddenly feel retroactively worse about you being much better at Souls games than me. But hey,
yeah, I'm guessing, man. I'm guessing. I mean, yeah, it's
I got the same thing in my toes, except it's neuropathy. So it's a big difference, I'm sure. But I don't play with my toes either. So
Rick, what weapon is my main? I mean, I use whatever's in ranked, right, or HCS, which is now the Bandit. Which was a DMR variation. That's always been my favorite, but I love the snipe too. But anyway, yeah, enough of that. For all of us, have you played Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation? It's my favorite Tomb Raider game, but not many people have played it.
Is that old Lara stuck in Paris? Is that the right one?
I honestly don't know. I haven't played it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know which ones are which. So
by the time the Tomb Raider series as it originally existed was winding up, I was not playing them all.
Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation came out. This is an old one.
Oh, okay.
Came out in 1999.
Oof.
It's classic. It's like classic Tomb Raider, but it must be the one that was on. Sorry, I'm trying to look quickly as we talk.
4,
that's basically the one after the trilogy. That's the one that was like the catch up.
It was on PC and PlayStation, eventually on Dreamcast as well.
Wow.
Yes, I have played that one. Clearly, I remember it very well.
Yeah, man. Shoot.
I remember it so little, I don't even know if I played it. But I like to think I played all the Lara Croft games.
Chat, which is the name of the game where she's like on trial for murder in Paris?
Yeah, no idea. I don't remember what we talked about earlier in the episode. There's no chance I'm going to remember a Tomb Raider game from 1999. None.
Yeah. So if I did, I played a lot of Dreamcast, especially the big IPs that came to Dreamcast. So I'm sure I might have played it, but I don't remember it at all. All right, for all of us.
Matrix, Last Revelation.
Trial of Doom.
Oh, Angel of Darkness. Thank you, Rick Davis in the chat. Angel of Darkness is the one I was thinking of where she's stuck in Paris.
Okay.
All right.
Man. kind of forget how many
about
Tomb
that
Raider
game.
games there have been. You know what I mean? There's so many
Oh
Tomb
my
Raider
God. I forgot about that one in Paris. I'm having like flashbacks right now.
For all of us, out of your personal top 10 games of all time, if you had to vote on which, this one was, I had to clarify. So of your personal top 10 games, which would be the worst to live through if it became literal? I think I have that right. So like if that,
if it came to life,
like if that, it was worded very strangely, but like the name of it, right? Like, which would be the worst became the literal, which one would be the worst? That's what we're going with. That's how we're going to answer this question.
So like Travis just has to get past the first part, like top 10 games. So he's gonna have to narrow it down immediately.
If the name became literal, yeah.
I think Final Fantasy VI would be the worst to live through.
Yeah.
If the game became literal, like you have to live through it.
Yeah,
that's what I took.
The way it was worded originally, and I'm sorry, I forget who asked this one, but it was like the title of the game. If that became literal, what would be the worst? But I didn't really know what that meant because I'm like, what does Elden Ring mean literally? Like if I have to live through it, do you know what I mean? So
what does it mean figuratively? I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I was
knows.
taking it as just let's play this question as if you had to be in that environment. Which
you're saying the one that you would least want to experience.
In reality, yes.
Yeah. Oof,
man, that's a good question.
Well,
probably
for me,
some
Final
horror
Fantasy
game,
VI
right?
is the one with the apocalypse. What'd you say, Travis?
Probably some horror game would be the one you don't want to go through, right? Or
if it's in your top 10.
Yeah. I would say BioShock 1 for me, right? Being in Rapture and the downfall with all the splicers and everything, that would probably be pretty crappy.
That'd be terrible.
Man, I want to see Rapture.
Yeah, but that would be cool. But then you'd have to deal with like your actions not being your own. That sounds like a pretty big type of hell. Maybe Dead Space 2.
Yeah, that'd be rough.
I don't even know.
Dead Space 2 is a classic. Yeah. I need to play that one again. Good game.
Don't worry.
Someone said Palworld.
You'll be playing it in 2026 when they remake it, I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Bang on balls. I mean, that would be terrible.
I'm just glad it's in your top 10. I mean, yeah.
No. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Truthfully, that's the one whose name you don't want to experience.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. All of us, what's your guilty pleasure game? And would you... Okay, hold on. Sorry. Stop. What's your guilty pleasure game? And would you want it remade and or rebooted or left alone to bask in all of its mediocre glory?
I mean, like what? Like I mean, geez.
I guess they mean like, you know, obviously not your favorite game of all time, right? But your guilty pleasure game, a game that's widely not accepted as a fantastic game, but you love it, right? Your favorite game that's not for me. No, I'm kidding. Can
you clarify that, please?
So your guilty pleasure game, would you want it to be remade or rebooted? So it may become then more popular or accepted.
I think my answer is probably Earth Defense Force.
That's a good one.
You talk about that game a lot.
2017, because that game is like so poorly made, but they keep making those games, and I don't want it remade. I don't think you can remake it because part of the jank of that game is like how badly it runs and how cheesy the story is and how silly it was. And so that game definitely feels guilty when I play it. But like that was one of the first games I played with my now fiance when we started dating, and I mean, there's just too many good memories with that game. I played it when I was in high school and then replayed it again, and it has aged so well, especially now that the year it takes place in has passed, because I think it's called Earth Defense Force 2017. So it's like well beyond that time. It's just very it's
a period piece. Yeah.
It's a period. Yeah, it's an alternate history.
Man,
the question I'm going to answer with what I would play if I still had access to it, because it sounds like I should still be playing it as a guilty pleasure, and I don't get to play it very often. But I'm going to answer a game called Shockwave Operation Jumpgate, which is the second Shockwave game in an Electronic Arts series in which you basically were a fighter pilot fighting off an alien invasion. And in the second one, at the height of the full motion video kind of craze, you got sucked into an alternate dimension or part of the galaxy where you had to face against video game created aliens and whatnot while trying to navigate through a situation that was perfect for like the Sega CD or the CDI or whatever else you'd be playing
3DO.
on 3DO.
Yeah.
And so I really remember liking that one a lot. There's a certain comfort that I have in playing space games with cheesy full motion video. So whether it's Wing Commander 3 or 4, or the one where Mark Hamill's eaten by plant aliens. I can't remember which one that's called. But
oh man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Shockwave Operation Jump Gate. I feel like playing it right now.
Is that an expansion? Though?
Okay.
No, it's a sequel.
No, I thought it was an expansion.
All right, I've got one.
Do it.
It's called Banjo-Kazooie, and yes, I want it remade or rebooted. God damn it!
Oh, that's right. I would take a reboot.
All jokes aside about Banjo, I'll do a deep cut for you, Hogue, since you like to do that too. I'm gonna go with original Xbox's Kung Fu Chaos. I talked about this game. That's an amazing game. It was the people that went on to do Ninja Theory, I believe, if I recall correctly. It's not Mighty Tiny Monsters, something with monsters in the title, the developer. But if you don't know Kung Fu Chaos, think Super Smash Brothers, except for you are actual goofy movie Kung Fu people, right? And you battle on a stage that actually evolves as you play. So it's like a movie set, and it moves as you play and changes. So the set changes as you play, and you sit there battling and knocking each other out. And then at the very end, a couple minutes into the match, it goes scene, and it basically replays the whole thing for you with a cheesy Japanese Kung Fu announcer over the scene as you're fighting. And at the time, it was just very kind of, it was unique and hilarious and goofy, and it was just an awful lot of fun. You played 4-player co-op on your couch, of course. Now you could do online. So yeah, it would be cool.
The game ruled.
Yeah, the game's amazing. I still have my original copy for the original Xbox, but I think the whole idea of Super Smash Brothers, 4 people or however many people fighting on a single screen, right? A 2D plane, basically. And that happening, I think, is really cool, but I want to see more variety than just Smash Brothers. Like those other games that come out in that vein, they just try to mimic Smash Brothers. And it's like, do something unique with that concept. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Man, I'm going to go with Just Cause 2, because I played so much of that game.
Dude.
So much of that game.
Just Cause is like guilty pleasure the series.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. You just blow shit up. That's it. That's all you do. 2, for some reason, just always stuck with me. I loved it.
Really?
Played a ton of it. I played some of 3.
For me, it's 3.
3 was really good too. 4 I didn't care for, but 2, I put so much time into that game. I don't know. I mean, if they wanted to remake it, just do like a whole new Just Cause game, I guess. But 4 didn't come out that long ago.
You know what's funny?
4 was supposed to be that game because it was the new engine. It was supposed to bring it all up to date and everything.
That game is so outlandish that I once had a friend visit me in college when I was playing that game, and they saw so much nonsense happening on screen that they assumed the game was pronounced Just Cuz.
No, that's how I've always said it. Just Cuz. Why?
Just Cuz.
How are you able to do all this stuff? Just Cuz. 2. It's a sequel.
Yeah, that's probably mine.
That's awesome.
Speaking of weird open world games, I love Dan's answer. I would like to also add, I know since I'm cheating here by having a second game.
Yeah, go.
A game called Mercenaries, which I think was a LucasArts game.
Oh. Yeah, it's going back. I remember that one.
Go and figure out how to get these various high value targets out of a specific sandbox with various military forces. And I really enjoyed that one back in the day. And it wasn't doing anything super special, but it was a good game.
Yeah, I was just looking that up. The original one was 2005 that came out. Yeah, it was LucasArts. Good memory there.
Is that the one with the box art? Where
I'm only lightly brain damage.
Is that the one? You have it up?
3 guys in front of an explosion.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Games from that era. I remember what the box looked like because I was hanging out at Game Crazy, which you guys remember that place. Yeah, that place is gone.
That actually wraps us up. The only last question we had, as I joked last week, is finally, did Make Bitcast a 3-hour show actually work? And I think it did. That hashtag killed us.
We're pretty damn close.
Yep, it has.
That's the right question to ask right now at 2:40.
Yeah, it has done that. So, as I said last week, the final comment we got was, "You all are a shining beacon of lasagna in this dark, endless Monday of a world. Stay seasoned."
Beacon of lasagna. So, let's not mix metaphors, guys. This is...
So thank you to everyone who wrote in for the questions and joined to talk about that. That was some fun. If you like that, let us know. Leave us a comment if you'd like the kind of the Bitcast questions. Maybe we'll make that like a once a holiday season episode or something. We'll do it. It's pretty fun, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And for those that didn't see, I know that Ains shared a clip of us talking about what video games meant to us in certain aspects of recovery and dealing with life. Did you edit that, Ains? I didn't ask.
Yes, I did.
So I do think it's fun to grab some of those questions and put them in packages, and I think there's a lot of fun stuff to be had from video games, which you can tell the internet I very much enjoy.
Lies, Hogue, lies.
Hogue enjoys video games.
Hogue, hashtag Hogue likes games. And petting Travis's head. All right, let's go ahead and get wrapped up for this week, boys. So chat, you've been awesome today as always. Thanks for hanging out with us. On the season gaming side, like Hogue just said, actually we put I think it's about a 10-minute clip up of our experiences with how gaming have helped us in our lives. I cut that out of last week and just put that up as a separate video because I thought it was important and I thought it was nice to call out. I am going to be casting this week with Joe and Luke again, so look for cast co-op this week. And just a reminder, there's no Bitcast next week, so that is the 28th. Will be Bitcast less, and we'll be back the following Sunday to talk about Suicide Squad, which Dan is going to play with us, and Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, which should be a lot of fun. So
I'm so excited for that.
I know, I'm so excited too.
Also, the Apollo Justice trilogy comes out, I think, this week on the 24th, I think.
And Tekken 8, if you're a fighter too.
Yeah, Tekken 8. Wow, there's so many good names.
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of content going up this week. I'm hopefully going to have the Palworld full review. I might just take my time with it and finish it like early next week. We'll see. But my review in progress is up there in the meantime. And then I've got some exciting projects that I can't quite yet talk about, games that I've been playing and stuff that is going live this week. I've got a pretty highly anticipated and long awaited preview of a game that's coming out next month. That's going live on Thursday. So look out for that.
Silk Song, folks. You heard it here.
Yeah.
Could be. That one's highly anticipated and long awaited. But yeah, cool stuff coming up. I will have more to share next time we're here, which will be 2 weeks from now. So I'll probably have a whole lot of stuff to talk about. But keep it locked.
Cool. You're gonna be so mad at me if it's actually Silk Song.
Yeah, what if it was Silk Song? That's the only thing that's going through my head. How hilarious would that be?
Well, folks, I do have a Hogue's Notes that I forgot to mention. And I do want to mention it now because I have enjoyed it. It is Another Code Recollection, the first Nintendo game released this year. It's a remake of a series of, I think, DS games. But if you're interested in kind of adventure puzzling, it's a very well done remake. And it reminds me of kind of older Sega Dreamcast type games like the D series and things like that. So if you enjoy that kind of vibe, check out Another Code Recollection. That said, I did not actually wind up doing any virtual legalities or hangouts and headlines this past week for a good reason. I was on a field trip to my rehabilitation hospital to talk about some of the machines that they had purchased through the wonderful donations of the folks at the fundraiser. And I want to talk about that more with folks in Community Post and maybe on my channel soon. But I was doing that, and I also had a ton of legal work. So the firm is back up and running. Nice. In January of 2024, but it does make it a little bit harder to do both things, especially while also trying to be better mindful of my own physical status and what I can and can't do. So I appreciate folks hanging on my channel, and you didn't miss anything. I didn't do a video this week. I hope to do more normal videos this coming week, but I'm busy all over. So we'll see how we do.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, glad to hear it, Hogue. With that, we will close. What are we saying? Go Lions, go Chiefs?
Sure.
I will say go Lions. I'm pretty ambivalent about Bills Chiefs, except for Dan's situation.
Yes.
Everyone, for Dan, please root for the Chiefs.
Please. You have no idea how important this is for Dan.
Go Niners. That's
yes, congratulations to the 49ers for eliminating the Packers.
The fact that they won that game last night after looking that bad for most of that game, they better pick it up.
I'm hoping we got the badness out of our system, because
I hope so.
When things come together, we have such a great team this year.
It's already predicted by the Super Bowl logo.
Yeah, it's already Niners and Ravens. We know this. So
and they destroyed us last.
The Ravens look lethal, man.
Yeah, the Ravens are dangerous foe, but I gotta believe underdogs. Come on.
And then the not funny thing, but I was thinking about that with the Niners, because the last time they won the Super Bowl, the Chiefs beat them, and then the Super Bowl before that, many years ago, the Ravens beat them.
The Ravens beat them
when Kaepernick was the quarterback.
That was the Harbaugh Bowl.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But look, we got Mr. Irrelevant. I mean, that's come on. You guys want to see that come from behind underdog story? Come on.
No, I hate Iowa State.
Dude, I like him. He seems like a good dude.
It's cool.
And I haven't watched Brock Purdy for more than like a couple plays, but he did not look like it yesterday.
Not great.
Not last.
Didn't look
he
good.
looked like
Mr.
Mr. Irrelevant for sure.
So, yeah.
Hey.
But anyway.
You made it to the playoffs. Shut up.
Go Lions. Enjoy your sports ball, everyone.
Sports
balls. Bitcast.
Thank you, everyone. As always, we will see you in 2 weeks. Until then, enjoy your games and play some Infinite Wealth. We'll see you then.